16-bit spit.
Overjoyed, rewarded another morning accordingly. Celebratory glee without a
welcome
performance.
to Powerful Impact, where we interview people who made a powerful impact on the culture, music, and the community as a whole. I'm SP. I'm with Goddess and Nev today.
Hey,
And just subscribe to the Powerful Impact channel at the YouTube channel and follow us on the social media. But tonight, we have a special guest, a really special guest. And if anybody is like me, they are just fanning out right now. But we have a legendary MC who's part of I can't even call them a super group. I can't call them all I can say is when somebody says digging in the crates, they don't just think about going to the record shop. They think about these guys right here. So everybody welcome OC.
what's up?
How are you today?
Hey,
Miss Goddess,
what's
how you
going on,
doing
Plain?
today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing happy. I'm happy it's Friday. It's been a long week, but I was really looking forward to tonight because I really wanted to get a chance to chat with OC tonight. So welcome.
Yes. We talked to a few of your fans and they sent us some questions to ask, but I just want to start off with for the people, the youngsters who don't know you, where are you from and how did that shape how you make music?
I was born in Brooklyn, raised in Brooklyn, moved to Queens, and the music thing has always been me. My mom just, she'd be a singer, but the whole hip hop rap thing started because I moved to Jamaica, Queens, and a guy by the name of Farrell March was my neighbor. He lived across the street from me. And that's where my journey started.
So, how did Digging in the Crates form originally?
Wow. DITC started with Showbiz and Diamond D. Showbiz, Diamond D, Lord Finesse, and Fat Joe grew up in Forest Pride. Showbiz, Lord Finesse, Diamond D, and Fat Joe grew up in the Bronx and Forest. Showbiz and Diamond D started DITC. It's a production crew, and actually the first cat that was really produced by Digging in the Crates was Lord Finesse. This is before Finesse started producing, and Showbiz and Diamond, and actually Premier's a member of DITC. People just don't associate him, which I don't know why. He been down from day one. You know what I'm saying? They produced Wes's first album, and that was the chain reaction right there.
Yeah.
Lord Finesse brought in AG, which in turn put Show and AG together. You know what I'm saying? Later on, Finesse met Buck Wild.
Mm-hmm.
I met Buck Wild and Finesse on the Source tour, the very first Source tour that I went on with Organized Confusion. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, and then later on Big L, you know what I'm saying? And that's how DITC came together. It was actually organic.
Oh, that's real. That's dope. I found that over the interviews that we have, it always seemed to be an organic connection, and most of
Right.
the members are still very um, active in each other's lives because it was so organically formed. Is that how it's happened with you?
Yeah, indeed. I'm probably the member with the most albums, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You know, contrary to people not seeing me so much, you know, I have, not counting probably DITC albums, you know, probably 20 albums, you know, so
Mm-hmm.
um I've been the most active over time. You know, the most successful has been, you know, Fat Joe, of course. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, but I've been the most active, like as far as putting out, you know, solo albums and stuff like that. You know, but digging in the crates is, you know, we still active. Everybody's still active on their own.
Cool. How did y'all come up with DITC, the name, and did it have any significance?
Um, well, Diamond and Showbiz came up with the name Digging in the Crates. You know, from digging for rare records, rare breaks,
Mm-hmm.
you know, just digging in old record stores and stuff like that. They actually came up with the name. We actually made the mistake of not trademarking the name. You know what I'm saying? Because
Mm-hmm.
everybody else uses it, but you know, it wasn't being said until Showbiz and Diamond was saying digging in the crates. And then they abbreviated it and broke it down to DITC.
So, we all have these moments of knowledge. Were those things just not talked about prevalently when y'all started, or it was kind of something y'all discovered, like trademarking and all of this stuff later on?
You still there?
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah, ask it again, SP.
Nah, I heard the question. It was just something that, you know, later on we didn't think about it, but you know, at
Mhm.
this
Yay, he's back.
Okay.
I
All
think he
right.
I think
don't
he
worry, I
answered
ain't
that
going nowhere.
question.
I'll just go back in and out. It's cool.
All right.
Okay.
All right, welcome back. We don't want to lose you.
Yeah, nah, I'll come back in. I'll log out and log back in if that's what it takes. Now what was your question?
I was just wondering, because it's a lot of times that we have, a lot of times we miss things because of the lack of information that's available to us, and
Right.
especially
Oh,
to us as a people.
and you said
So I was just,
right.
yeah, wondering about the trademarking.
Yeah, nah, like I said, at that point, at the point of all of us coming together, we made the mistake of not trademarking it, but at that stage with me putting my first album out, Finesse on his second album, Diamond putting his album, you know, people known this as DITC. But
Where'd you get the name OC from?
We did that.
that's
number
actually
4.
my real name.
Okay. Hold
No,
on.
we didn't
Yeah.
ask. We asked you that already.
That's why I skipped that. That's why I skipped that because that's his real name.
All right,
Your
well,
real
all
name
this
is
back and
OC.
Yeah,
forth, I kind of lost track. I'm sorry. I lost track.
Wait a minute. Nah, wait, hold
Nah,
up. Your real name is
that's
OC?
my real name.
Wait, no, it's short for something.
Yeah.
Those initials.
First name Omar, last name Cradle. It's on.
Oh,
Yeah.
Omar Cradle. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't hear.
Yeah.
Okay, my bad. Let me shush. My bad.
All right, so here we
I
got.
try to tell people that's my name. Like, my name is my name. People be like, so what is OC? And I'm like, if you said you have my CD, you know, the name is on the back of the CD. And they like, Omar Cradle, I don't get it. And I'm like, take the abbreviated. It's OC.
My initials.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why. That's why I didn't ask it because I already knew that was your name.
No, but for the public don't.
No,
know. Like, look at me. I'm a fan, and I didn't know.
People don't associate the name and, you know, my full name and the initials. So it's funny to me. You know, I don't get mad at that though. It's cool.
I grew up in the time where you read the liner notes, so you know that was recreation for us to sit out to sit with our legs kicked up on the wall and read all the liner notes in the album and look at the pictures. That's how we found out what people look like.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Right.
OC, how did you end up meeting with Organized Confusion?
It's my neighbor. So you said you grew up in Jamaica, Queens. You know, I grew up in Jamaica, Queens as well.
Okay.
And he lived across the street from me. He's literally how I doing the music. You know what I'm saying? He lived directly across the street. And that's where the music started, you know, professionally, being around him and being around Prince. And, you know, that's my members. You know what I'm saying? Like, them dudes, if it wasn't for them, it'd be no.
Shout out to Organized Confusion. Shout out to Prince Paul. Salute. Legendary.
Who I also think don't get the shine they deserve. Organized Confusion was on a whole nother level though.
Yeah, they were.
And ahead of their time.
They definitely are, you know.
I believe
they just now putting out the new stuff. Yeah. They putting out the first album on streaming. Like, it was never up for streaming and stuff like that. So now I think they re-releasing it through Blues and the Amazons and stuff like that. So that's another check for me too.
Oh man, that's gonna be. I probably donate to your cause because I've been waiting. Me and Maria, we was like, why they don't have their stuff up so we can get to it, because we just feel like it's very important to support the OGs.
Yes, definitely.
Right.
OC, tell us the story about you transitioning into a solo artist. Like tell us like a little background story, how that came about.
From Fudge Pudge.
Yeah, I mean, I always been a solo artist, but I just basically sat in like a fly on the wall when Pharoah and Prince was doing their first album, their debut album. And you know, a bunch of guys around them that was trying to do music too, but I just happened to get lucky and get on their first album. But you know, I was doing demos and stuff, and you know, they used to tell me not to sound like them and you know, find your own voice, and you
Right.
know, they was real hard on me. They was definitely hard on me. Like, nah, you sound like us, and you know, find your own. Who are you?
Mm-hmm.
Who's OC? You know what I'm saying? Who's Omar Cradle? Like, you got to discover your own sound, your own position. And I didn't know what that mean, you know, as a youngin. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just didn't know what it meant until one day it just clicked. And cards lined up, and when they was finishing up their first album, they put me on the spot, and I did a record called Fudge Pub, their first album, and
Mm-hmm.
that's where my solo career started.
Nice.
Cool. Let me. I have Lord AAA. He is a DITC fanatic. He is from Saudi Arabia,
Mm-hmm.
but he thinks that boom
Mm-hmm.
bap begins and ends with y'all. Period.
Period.
And he really wanted to know.
That's dope.
That's right.
He wanted to know would you be down to form a trio with Monch and Poe?
Oh no.
Damn.
I'm back.
Okay, he's here. Okay,
Okay, what was you saying? Dude wanted to know
let me
what?
move. He wanted to know, would you be down with forming a trio with Monch and Poe?
Well, I mean, it was a trio. I just wasn't an official member. I toured with them. You know, I went on the road with them. Um, yeah, I was like the unsigned third member, but you know, Organized Confusion was those guys, you know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
anytime we got to record music together, we did it. You know what I'm saying? I put them on actually when I got when I had a record deal and I was doing my
Mm-hmm.
thing, I had actually did quite a few things with them. But I mean, our first gold record is the New Jersey Drive soundtrack. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? I actually put them on the New Jersey Drive soundtrack on a song called "You Won't Go Far." You know, that was like one of the collaborations we did together. And you know, of course, the "Can't You See" record was the actual record that made the whole soundtrack go gold. But I'm a part of that.
Mm-hmm. And his last question was, have you ever entertained? Well, he is not a last question. It's like several questions because
Mm-hmm.
he wants to know: have you ever entertained doing a full album with Large Professor?
I've been around Large Pro since before Organized Confusion recorded their first album. So Large is family. Like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
we just never really recorded together, but I've always been around Large, like for 30 years.
Yeah, he just wants y'all
You
to
know what I'm
record
saying?
together.
Yeah, but you know, what people don't what's crazy is what people don't understand, like how we having just conversation,
Mm-hmm.
music is the same way. Like sometimes, you know, I've been in, I mean, me and Nas came up together through MC Search. But me and
Mm-hmm.
Nas never music together. Sometimes things just don't happen that way. Like, you know, it's something that just has to be organic.
uh he said, well, and then the second part of his question is, will you think about
Mm-hmm.
it?
Of course, that's Large Professor. Large is one of the Large is a legend.
Yeah,
Of
and
course, I would do a record with him.
in his mind, he sees uh you, Meth, and Redman all on a album, a whole album, all produced by Large Professor. That's his
Oh,
dream
he just
collaboration for
putting
you.
some of his favorites together and making albums. That's just like me saying I want to do a record with Bob Marley, Jimi Hendrix. Like I get it though. I get it. Tell him
Yeah, that's his dream
it's never off the
collaboration
table.
for you.
Yeah, nah, I get it.
He said he always says that your form of lyricism is one that crosses the boundaries of any production and any other lyricist. He said you are one of the
Oh
few
wow.
lyricists in the world that can get on anybody's album and make it better.
Man, I don't even know what to say to that.
Interview's done.
Humble.
Boom!
I'm
Powerful
humble.
impact.
Yeah. I don't even know how to answer that right there. I appreciate that. Like,
He just wanted you to know that, because he doesn't think you get the credit that you deserve, and he wanted to make sure that you knew that there are actually people around the world who thinks that you are
The
hip hop.
best of the best. And one of the best of the best. Yeah. Creme de la creme.
y'all can still hear me? Y'all still with me?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
I always tell people this because people always say I don't get the credit, but I still put out music. I mean, I'm still recognized. You know, my thing was a slow, you know, where everybody else, if they came out and made an impact right away, I
Mm.
always say mine took 20, 30 years. It was just a slow burn. And I mean, millions of people do know my music.
Yeah, he's
I've
one
been
of them.
around the world.
He just thinks that he wants he thinks you should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He thinks that y'all should
Wow.
be held to a high esteem, and that even the new artists coming in should be able to tell them your albums. And if they can't tell you their albums, then they need to learn, because y'all are the foundation. And he's always been a huge fan. So he just wanted me to make sure that
Right.
you knew that in Saudi Arabia, the hip hop crowd in Saudi Arabia begins and ends with DITC.
Yeah, that's dope. I just seen. I mean, I've been seeing it for years, but um, a guy who support us just showed me a tattoo with maybe a week ago with Premier on one hand. He couldn't put the whole DJ Premier on his wrist, but he put O on one and he put DITC on the other, and he put it up on my Instagram. And I was, that never gets old to me. That's just so crazy to me. Like, I know we have a cult following, you know what I'm saying? But I don't consider myself no legend though, because to me, our legends is still alive. Grandmaster Caz is still alive. Melly Mel is still alive. Fl is still alive. Cool Herc is still alive. Grand Wizard Theodore is still alive. Coca La Rock is still alive, the first MC.
T La Rock.
Eric and Rakim and them is still alive. Big Daddy Kane is still alive. Slick Rick is still alive.
Yeah.
Public Enemy is still alive. KRS-One is still alive. Like the list goes on. LL is still alive. He just got inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Busta Rhymes is still alive. You know, the list goes on.
Cool
So
G Rap.
I appreciate people, you know, have their opinions about what we do. That just means we made an impact in their lives. You know what I'm saying? So it's cool with me. I just don't say it out my own mouth. I don't consider myself anything but artist.
Yeah, I think it's a generational thing, you know, because when you grow up hip hop, your era is what you grew up in, and for somebody in their late 30s, you were their legend, right?
Right.
For me, in my 50s, I'm with you. You know, those are my legends, because I was there from where they go. They, you know, they are what made me hip hop.
Exactly. You know, like I said, I just look at what I do and what, you know, what my crew did or accomplished, you know, as powerful music. You know, no pun intended to the Powaful Impact, you know, but we made powerful music and it resonated with people. You know what I'm saying? So I expect, but I don't like taking on titles. I don't take titles of top fives, and that don't mean nothing to me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, he don't
music. I
he
love
doesn't
music.
do. That's what he said. He said, I don't have a top five, because the history of hip hop is so vast that to give a top five would be to slight
A lot of people.
somebody else in hip hop, and I would never do that.
Exactly. And you know, I always tell people, you know, I'm older than hip hop on paper. You know, the music business, I think it just turned what, 45, 46, something like that. I'm 50. So on paper, I'm older than hip hop in the music business, but it's been longer than me. When people say the music is old school and stuff like that, I'm like, yo, this is the youngest form of music out of everything. And I'm actually older than hip hop on paper. So, you know, the first record came out, what, King Tim the Third, 74, 75, something like that. You know, Curtis Blow had the first gold single album or single as a solo artist, something like that. You know, it's still a young genre of music. It's just, you know, people put labels. It's too early to put label on things. You understand? So people don't like this kind of music, or these youngers is making this kind of music. It's like you have to let every era, eras through what they go through to, you know, to filter out what people consider whatever they feel is hip hop. And you know, what I do is what I do. What this era does is what they does. And that's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna like everything. I don't think people like everything from me.
So what do you think about ageism in hip hop? I get a lot
Sucks.
of I get a lot of you're too old to know what's happening. I was like, in every other genre, you're people look to you for wisdom and how to avoid those bumps in the road, and you know, all of the, you know, that knowledge and that history. It's only in hip hop that we
Right.
have this thing where you're too old to be hip hop.
Again,
how do you
listen.
think
Again, hip hop. They just had a birthday for hip hop. It's what, 48 years old. That's not a long time.
Mm-hmm.
It's really not, but people don't think about it like that. I'm telling people I'm older than hip hop. And they like, how? You only, you got Cool Herc, and I'm telling people, listen, the music business only adapted hip hop 48 years ago. That's why it's 48. The birth date of hip hop came up this year as being 40. It's been around. It was started since 72, 70. And ageism for something that's still a young form of music, rock and roll is older than hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
Country music is older than hip hop. Like these things, but they don't get that. You don't hear rock groups saying Paul McCartney and them should retire. Young rock groups saying older artists
Mm-hmm.
like Sting and them should retire. This is something that we have to have a dialogue about, with the younger artists. Just because you're younger doesn't mean I should stop doing what I'm doing. You understand? Like,
Mm-hmm.
but the separatism because of the finance. It's a money maker. It's the biggest form of music on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, if me and you was trying to generate dollars from something that just makes money, no matter what kind of music it is, live music, deaf music, trap music, whatever kind of music, all you thinking about is the dollars and cents at the end. You're gonna separate the two. The ones who pioneered it. That's what's going on, and that's what created ageism in hip hop. But like I said, nobody never died at no concert of mine. You understand?
Already.
Like I don't make that kind of music. I always tell people as of late too, like, the music that's being made right now is not is gang music. It's not hip hop. It's
It's
gang
soulless.
music. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
soulless.
it's yeah, it needs to be different categories for things, but like I said, we have to sit down with our youngins and have a civil conversation with them. We can't even point our fingers in their face. We have to sit down and try to understand why it got to this point and why people are dying from music.
And I still think it goes with what KRS One said a long time ago. Um, Rap is what you do. Hip hop is who you are. And
Yes,
I just
it's my
don't think,
life. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, it's more than a music genre to us. And I think
yeah,
that is the part that's missing.
yeah, yeah.
Because
Rap is something to do. Hip hop is something you live. Like hip hop is a culture. It's a it's not only style, it's a way of life. It's I don't stop being hip hop when I go to sleep. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like it's we don't turn this, you don't turn this off on that. We're not uh, I mean, going to the grave, you still hip hop. It's a
I'm
way of
still hip
life.
hop.
It's still hip hop, and and I don't know, man. I just sit back and watch everybody and try to figure out before I open my mouth or point my finger at somebody, how can I bring something to do that's constructive, you know, at least trying to fix certain things. You know, not point
Yeah, I think
fingers, not blame nobody for anything, but because, you know, even if you right, you wrong. That's how, you know, they have us feuding with each other in a sense. You know, the younger generation and the elders, like, and it shouldn't be that way. Like, you know, if an older person told me something when I was young, I sat and listened. You didn't want to listen. I wasn't about it. You know what I'm saying? And it's just different. It's a different day, man. It's a different frequency in the air. It's a different vibration going on. You know,
and there's no balance.
if I can fix it with the snap of a finger, I would fix it, but that's not reality. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have to figure things out as best as we
and
can.
We need a reset. We really do need a reset.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we talk about bridging the gap, and I know I try to take the time when I run across somebody who says something super ridiculous. I try to stop and, you know, just give the history, you know, because I think we did a poor job of passing down the history. And I think it's mostly because it's hard to say what hip hop is because it's always been us. You know what I mean? And so I'm wondering, how do we get past that feeling and that sense of ownership, right? Because this is the problem that I'm having now. It seems like we told hip hop, we told record labels, and we told radio, and we told people what hip hop is. And now I think they're just giving it away. How do we reset, do something about that mindset?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't have the answers to that. Things have to evolve. Things have to devolve, right? Things have to be built and destroyed sometimes as well. I don't know. I really don't. I really don't have an answer to that. You still there?
Yeah, I'll ask the next question. It looked like she cut off. I was gonna kind of continue in the same vein of what you're talking about. Many hip hop artists and prominent Black celebrities, right, have passed away in the last year or two at an increasingly rapid rate. Why do you think that is exactly?
Yo, again, I don't have the answer for that. Like, I have questions, you know, like,
ask away. That's cool.
Just seeing people people dying from music, man. That shit for me is just like the end all be all. Like, I'm not understanding that. You know, like, that's why I said it's a different vibration going on. It's a different frequency going on. You feel me?
Yeah, totally. I get it. And how do you think like this? I was gonna say, how do you think this affects the hip hop community and African American community at large? Like, you know, in terms of like grief, depression, PTSD, and all of these things. How do you think that affects us as a collective, like collective trauma and things like that? Because it is happening like at a quicker rate more and more in a shorter amount of time.
Hey, look
I'm
what's
just
going
kind of curious.
The meat is crazy. Um, you know, you preach kill, 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 kill. At some point, that's what you're gonna get. You know what I'm saying? You preach love, that's what you're gonna get. And people don't understand words of power. You know what I'm saying? And you know, it can affect, it can definitely affect how people think. It can definitely affect how your mental state of being is. Um, I mean, man, listen, I know we can be on here all night, but it even goes back to the crack era, man. Like, you know, in the dope era, like, yo, all of that shit affected us today. You have adults that's 22. You're an adult at 2 years old, but you know they're grown up crack babies. They're and we seen this coming up. I'm speaking for myself. I've seen dope fiends growing up and the effects of what some of my friends knew as far as their parents being dope fiends and stuff like that, and it affected their whole life, man. You know, some of them are
Yeah.
not even around today. You know that I grew up with. That's how much it affected them, and I'm affected. You know what I'm saying? I've had people in my family, you know, who's died from drugs and things of that nature. And I don't tell this story too often, but I've told it as of late. But you know, I seen my first body drop when I was with me and Prince Poe. You know, was together when I seen my first body drop. We both seen it. I never asked him how he felt. You know, seeing a dead
Mm-hmm.
body. I fell over the body, literally. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Like I had blood on my sneakers. I had blood on my pants cuff. You know, and I tell people today, you know, discussing it with my wife, it affected me, man. I was traumatized and I didn't even realize it. I didn't even realize I was, that traumatic experience affected my life. And if you listen to my music, if you go back over time and listen to the music I made, you know, you can understand why. This is why I'm bringing it up now. But you know, I was kind of numb after that. After seeing a guy's eyes just staring into the abyss, you know, when you look into a man's eyes when he's dead, like that's nothing for a 20 or 18-year-old to see, man, let alone a child. You know what I'm saying? Like it
Yeah.
affected me, but it took me 30 years to talk about
Yeah.
it. And
I
my new parents too, you know what I'm saying? Because we seen it together.
mhm. The people don't give our generation a lot of credit. Generation X, as we were called, um, we we didn't have all of these self help groups, and most often we were kind of raising ourselves, so we were just figuring it out as kids the best way that we knew how,
Mm-hmm.
because it was it was like a 180. We were in families and having Sunday dinners and um, playing hopscotch, and then the 80s hit,
Mm-hmm.
and all of a sudden we were bitches and hoes. The late 80s, we were just, it just switched on us like a dime. And it went from school teachers coming in to teach school to the school teacher stealing your money out your purse when you went out outside to play in the playground, you know. It was that deep, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
And you couldn't trust
Yeah.
anybody.
So listen to
You
what
couldn't
I said.
trust your own family. So yes, we
Right,
dealt with a
right.
lot of trauma. And the fact that we're here
A lot of
today
trauma.
is a testament to our strength. However, it doesn't fix the trauma. And
Not at all.
do you
My therapy
do you
is music.
do you think that this stigma that the community has for mental health, getting help with for mental health, um, is something that needs to be abolished? That we need to stop with the you don't need to talk to anybody, you don't need to see anybody, all you need is Jesus, you know, instead of actually seeking the help that we need or accepting that we've been through this trauma.
Well, I mean, shit, they promote hate and death and all that. Promote going to see a therapist. What's wrong with that? I don't see today, you know, as a mature man, I've nothing wrong with it. But like I said, in hindsight, you know, when I seen that body drop, I was supposed to go get some help for that. You know, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the, you know, like you said, I'm not the only one. Like, you know, it was a lot of traumatic occurrence, you know, growing up with different people, you know, from our era
Mm-hmm.
and on, you know what I'm saying? And even with our parents, it really started with our parents, man. Like, you know, I don't go too deep into that, but you know, um, I have uncles and aunts, and you know, my moms and my pops. They basically didn't discuss a lot of things if things happened to them, or you know, they was basically chalk it up. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't a way to deal with trauma or somebody being touched by an uncle, or you know, you seeing somebody get murdered, or you know, somebody being on drugs in your family. Like that wasn't the way to deal with it, by telling them to be tough.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that that phrase, what happens in this house stays in this house, has been such a detriment to our to us and to our community. And
mm-hmm.
it seems to be hard to get that wall to break down, because
Right.
if you're somebody like me, you just didn't tell. You just, you know, you went through and you knew that if anybody found out, you'd be the fast ass girl, you know, regardless of the rape
Yeah.
thing, it would be you that would be the problem. So
Right.
I think,
You did something wrong. That's how it was perceived.
yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then they wonder why
Yeah. I mean,
40, 30 years later, people are saying, well, he did that to me. But sometimes it takes 30
yeah.
years before you can even say it to yourself out loud, because you just go through the motion.
Yeah. Like I said, you know, I tripped over a dead body when he got murdered. And basically, I've seen people after that, and it didn't, not so much that it didn't bother me, you know, but the act didn't, it eased me, or I thought it didn't. You understand? And later on, like, you shit, I certain things that happen in my life, or things that I've
Mm-hmm.
seen, traumatic things over time. And it was just like, damn, man, like, you know, I was supposed to get help for, you know,
Yeah.
um, nobody can deal with experiences like that as teenagers and young adults, like
Mm-hmm.
even older adults. Like it's just something you're not supposed to. It's not natural.
No.
There's nothing natural
How old
about
were you?
unnatural death and no, shit. I was probably 17. This is in the midst of um organized confusion record being out. This is when this happened.
Mm-hmm.
And me and like I said, me and Prince just happened to be up in you know, artist, you said you from up out of Hillside, right across the street from Hillcrest. It used to
Yeah,
be
Mm-hmm.
I'm
a
not
bar on the corner
Hillcrest.
right on Hillside or something. And
Yes.
you know, I was just telling him basically about, you know, me and Prince Poe being a bar. He introduced me to somebody. I shook his hand and he got popped in the face, and you know, slow motion after that.
Like the Black Lives Matter movement. I look at these young people, and they keep telling me, uh, I guess because we've been through it, and uh we see it differently, only because we've 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 been there. I've been there when my cousin went to jail in 1988 for robbing a convenience store with a cap gun, and it's 2021, and he's still in prison. So,
Mm,
you know, we have seen these injustices, you know, forever. And it's
mm-hmm,
always remarkable to me when I see people say that it's worse than it was before. Um, can you just speak on how? Because I look around and I don't see the difference. I just see that people have cameras.
yeah, that's the difference today. It's just, you know, everything is being filmed now. But the worst thing about it now is, you know, you catch a crime from a, say, a police officer beating the shit out of somebody, and he don't get convicted for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's things being done on camera, and they like, well, you know, that's not what you really saw. You know, it's basically a Rodney
Hmm.
King thing over and over and over and over, and it's just like, damn, like,
Growing up, and people would show me like, these RVs, and they would be like, yeah, you don't ever want to go into these RV areas, blah blah blah, all this whatever. But recently, I'm following like families that are literally giving up selling everything and buying these nice, beautiful RVs, and they're traveling the whole country. They're going to parks, they're going to, all kinds of different things. And I'm like, I grew up with this stigma, you think like, oh man, trailer this and blah, blah, blah. And you're thinking like, I don't want that. But you don't realize like there's an adventure to having an RV.
Right.
Because, and now if you look, they have like these really modern RVs. You get a nice big like Silverado truck that could pull like a fifth wheel RV. And boom, you could literally go from one part of the country to another in the next 2 years.
Right. Right.
So anyway, the reason I'm even on this thing is because I was talking about how, at one point, even when I was growing up in New York, it was all about survival. My childhood was all about survival. So now I'm in Florida, I have my own kids, but I don't want to live in that survival mode. I want to thrive now. Now I
Right.
want to, what I'm saying, figure out what it is that I want to do. But what I realized is like back in the days living, in New York, it was a different time back then. And a lot of the things that we dealt with, the trauma, the crime, just the toxic environments that we had to deal with, and the whole idea that we had to really mentally put ourselves in a space to survive all of that. Then you get, to old, not, I don't want to say old age, but then you get to your prime age and you realize, all right, you know what? I couldn't help how I came up here, but I could help how I end this story.
Right.
You have no control over how the story started, but you have all the control of how this story ends.
Right. Definitely. I mean, I ain't never going back to New York. I'm done with New York. It took a toll on me. It took me 50 years to leave New York. You know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, it's struggle, strife, trouble, and shit everywhere. But New York sucked the life out of me almost.
It's tough. It was tough.
I'm born and raised, but it just sucked the life out of me, man. And I couldn't. Had I not left, y'all probably be RIPing me. You know what I'm saying? Like, so to speak. Like, just because it took a toll on my spirit. Yes. Like I said, seeing certain things that was unnatural, feeling unnatural about certain things. I just didn't want the second part of my childhood, so to speak, to be traumatic.
Of course.
We still dealing with. People still deal with things even when they move out of the environment that created that. But I have a peace of mind now.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? People still, people talk to me about the music. I'm like, how do you think I make the music? The music comes from trauma, happy, sadness, my life. It's my life story. It's other people's life stories. I'm not just talking about me. I'm talking about, being, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm telling people stories from how I view it, or I'm getting it firsthand from people, or.
But OC, check this out. I feel like Big L was way before his time.
Yeah.
Way before his time. Like, we did not deserve him. Like, this man was the future. Yeah. How did the situation around him affect you? Like, really mentally, emotionally, spiritually? Like, how did that affect you?
Well, L was around your age, so he was the youngest out the crew. I was the second to the youngest. We clicked automatically, but it affected me because me and L just came off the road, and a few months later he was gone. He got murdered. So, we had not to even talk. It don't even matter to me at this point, but me and him just started working on an album as well. Me and him in showbiz. So, the only song that came of that was a record called Get Yours that went on the Black Mass soundtrack. I feel like that record to me was first. You know what I'm saying? Because he died unnatural. Like, he wasn't supposed to go out like that. And I don't know nowhere else to explain it, like, because if I had the chance to talk to him, ask him how did it lead up to this point, I would, but that's not a reality. So all of us carry that burden around different. Each member of the crew carried the burden around different, but me and AG were the last two guys who literally would, toured with him in the last few months of his life. So I never asked A how he felt. He never spoke to me about it. In turn, with SP saying all in all, we never, it's always out of sight, out of mind. Don't talk about it. You know, it'll go away. And I wish we did talk about it when it happened. You know what I'm saying? Because we probably would have dealt with it a lot different. But I don't celebrate his death anniversary anymore. People be like, "Yo, his birth anniversary." Nah, I don't put no pictures up. R.I.P. Big L and none of that shit no more because I'm like, he was murdered. He didn't die of a cold or ailment. He was murdered. He was brutally shot down in the streets. And it goes back to the same thing of me seeing that person being shot down in the bar. It was the same way. And I just never knew how to deal with it. And probably still don't in hindsight, but I deal with the piece of saying, damn, like I did see that happen. That wasn't good for my spirit. If I could turn back time, I wish I would have went to a therapist. But coulda, shoulda, woulda. I have to deal with it personally now, and I speak about it now. Me and March talk about it. I didn't talk about things like that before. As of a lot of people see things or deal with things, or women deal with things and never speak about it. And then when somebody ends up, taking a life or something like that, people wonder why. And it's like, I don't wonder why, because I know it's something that they was taught not to talk about.
Or they're dealing with something. I feel like
Yeah.
a lot of these issues numb us. Like me growing up, unfortunately, like getting murdered in the street was common. It was something I saw a lot.
Yeah.
But because I was young, it was kind of like, oh, close your eyes, or my mother would just kind of put her jacket over my face and just by. But I saw it. I knew something was up. There was a body on the ground every other day.
Yeah.
So you grow up and you become kind of numb to it. And even with my kids, I mean, my kids are a little bit more sheltered because, we're not in New York anymore. We're in Florida.
Right.
They think they hard, but they ain't fucking hard.
Well, we both grew up in Jamaica, Queens. I grew up on 157 between 110, 111. Projects down the block.
I was in Briarwood. Remember? I don't know if you heard of Briarwood.
Briarwood is that? Yeah. And that was where Chinks was killed. You know what I'm saying? That's where Chinks was murdered at. But Edward Byrne, all of that. I was there for all of that. You know what I'm saying? The murder of the cop that changed the whole United States of America with the drug laws and all of that. This was in our borough. You know what I'm saying?
Mason.
It just it's crazy, man. Like I just look at things and say, damn, like, what if I always tell people this, I don't mean to jump around, but they have think tanks, and this is things some people know about, some people don't, but they have think tanks 100 years ago on things that's occurring today. They plant things like this to happen. Not necessarily specifically what we're talking about, but the traumatic experiences of what's going on to happen today. Yo, they rethink these and plan these things
decades
and even hundreds of years ago for it to affect us. And that's why I say, people talk about, the kids today, and I'm like, listen, the crack era really, excuse my French, fucked up our people. Not the dope era. The dope era was bad too, but that crack shit really, our era has to take the hit for that. We actually, destroyed a lot of our people with that shit. We didn't.
But that wasn't 100% our fault. The government wasn't involved.
It wasn't, but
the government was involved.
This is.
But listen, that's where the structure of the family became. I've seen women look as beautiful as y'all you know, and we all have. Just y'all seen it. They transform in front of our eyes, and it's like, yo, that Night of the Living Basshead shit was real. Like it was just
Mm-hmm.
like people we grew up with, people, aunts, uncles, and then you know they had kids, and the grandmothers raised the kids, and the kids are wild now. They don't, yo, they punching 85-year-old women in the face. What kind of shit is like? You know, the Clarence Avant wife just got murdered the other day. It's something crazy about that, but who shoots down and kills an 85-year-old woman? A philanthropist type who gives away money, who does all these wonderful things, who shoots down an 85, damn near 100-year-old woman? Who does that? Like, what kind of heart do you have to commit an act like that? And you know, the generation today, they mentally affected. They really mentally affected by what went on in the past 30 years in the past. Today they're affected. Whether people want to say it is or it ain't, that's what happened. And it ain't no I don't have answers to things like that. People always say what
Mm-hmm.
we're supposed to do. It's like I don't have the answer to that. We just have to we
I
have
think communicate.
At
I think you
some
have to
point,
I
but
think you have to bring awareness to the issues.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think you gotta be vulnerable. You gotta be open about the fact that at the end of the day, the issues that we dealt with in our past affect us now as older adults. I
Mhm.
think that, you know, if the moment that we're able to face the fact that, you know what, everything that we've been through has been traumatizing, it affects us in a certain way. It put us in a position to always have this survival mentality instead of like, okay, I can, you know, relax or whatever. But we
Mhm.
can't because there's always, history is always kind of repeating itself. But
Right.
I think
but
opening that conversation is important.
at some point, at some point, there has to be a reckoning, and there has to be an acceptance of responsibility, right?
Mhm.
Because yes, the government put crack into the the community,
Right.
but the community sold it. The community took it. The community is shooting the people. You know, at some point, we are really going to have to actually address that everything can't be um, just the outside influences. Something is going on inside the house.
Mhm.
You know, the demon is in the house.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Nothing is an easy fix.
somehow
Nothing.
we have to figure out how to exercise that demon, right?
Mhm.
But SP, what do you think about when people say then, what's the word? Oh man, I lost it. It's kind of like the thing of how do you say that? Then you're blaming the victim. What do you say to that?
Well, this is what I say to that. If you were molested at a young age and you grow older and you molest other children, yes, you were a victim, but you are still responsible for your actions
And take the
because
responsibility of healing so that you don't continue the cycle.
your circumstances, you can't always be a victim to your circumstances. If you were always a victim to your circumstances, my life would have stopped when I was gang raped at 17,
Mm.
the day before my 18th birthday.
Mm.
If I stayed in that moment, I would have created hell for everybody around me for the rest of my life.
Mm.
So at some point, you have to um, deal with it. And you have to understand that you have to move, and you have to be a part of society that gives back, and you have to be a working part of society, because then you have children, and then your children have children, and then you just keep passing that down from generation to generation. And I didn't want to do that, so I did the work. And you can't be afraid to do the work.
I always say it's, I'm all the bullshit I've learned in my lifetime, up to this point, I have to unlearn. I'm in the
That's
process
right.
of unlearning. People like unlearning, you mean relearning, or I'm like, nah. I'm in the process of unlearning.
Yeah.
I was taught a lot of BS. I was taught, you know, I ain't no, I'm no saint. You know what I'm saying? Like I spoke like men. I didn't do the actions of a lot of men, but call women out their name. I learned that on my own, having sisters and moms and aunts and uncles. Like at some point, probably when an older chick snatched my ass or kicked me in my ass when I was younger and let me know, don't be calling no women no bitches and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you learn certain things, but I've learned a lot of bullshit and I'm unlearning, and people like unlearning. I'm like, yeah, like it's not easy. You
I
have
respect you for saying that too, because there's not a lot of people that will admit that they have to unlearn a lot of things, because that's you actually showing like, okay, you know what? I'm reflecting back on everything I've been through. And when you start to go through that journey of unlearning, you start to realize that people were also behaving based on their own perspective, their own experience, their own issues.
Right.
So now you start to take your power back, because you realize you're not a victim anymore. You're just kind of like living a consequence to what's happening around you.
It's sort of a psychological peer pressure from young until now. Like, who the hell still being influenced on some peer pressure shit in their 30s, 40s, and 50s? Most of us saw. So you have to admit to you have to go through your own thing, recognize it in yourself. And I was just lucky to and say I have to start. I wasn't saying it outward as I am right now. I just recently started saying it because some things people just not gonna understand. I say it now, like I'm unlearning, and people be like, "You mean you evolving?" Like, nah, I'm devolving.
Right? Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, like I'm really peeling back the layers, and seeing what's there, like, so to speak. Like, damn, like I don't like what I see, and I have to change it because he taught me this, or she taught me this, and it was just wrong. Some things are just wrong. Ways of thinking, wrong ways of doing things creates wrong ways of thinking. In turn, creates the actions in your life. And I'm devolving and I'm unlearning. And people like, I don't understand what you mean. I'm like, well, it's not for you to understand.
That's right.
It's kind of like I explained to my daughter. She was like, why do you have to work so many jobs? And I was like, well, I don't mind working a lot of jobs because we have to survive.
Right.
But this is the thing. I know I can go get a 50 pack and flip that. And then flip that. And it's easy. And I can do it quickly. But I could also go to prison.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So you have to unlearn all that hustle mentality that I was, that I know how to get money. Getting money is not an issue.
Right.
It's how you get the money and how it's going to affect me later on. especially when I see somebody that OD'd in a house after they just scored.
Right.
You know what I mean? Those are traumas that you're living with.
Right.
And people don't understand that. I realized that early on. I can make making money is easy illegally.
Yeah.
You can do that with your eyes closed.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
And if it's one thing the hood taught me is how to make money. I can get money. But all money, that's where that phrase comes from. All money ain't good money.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I just at some point I don't even explain it to anybody no more. Like I don't explain things to people anymore. I don't feel if I feel like your energy ain't right, and I mean literally standing in front of a person or even talking to a person, I won't talk to you no more. Like I'm cool with that. It bothers me none. You know what I'm saying? Like it's nothing wrong with being selfish in certain ways. And if it gives you a peace of mind.
Yeah.
You know, I get family members who ask me, "Am I still doing music?" And it's like I haven't worked a job in 30 something years. Like, kind of quite like this. I'm living off music money, like in this, so to speak. I get, this is my life. Like you
You're
said
living your
earlier,
life. You're living your life the way you want to.
right? Like SP said earlier, this is not I don't rap. I haven't. I tell people I haven't rapped. I haven't rapped since I had a deal. I rapped before I had a deal. After that, I was being an art. I'm an artist. Like, I write raps, but I'm not a rapper. Artist. Like, I get paid to do, what I want to do and what I want to talk about and what I want to express and good or bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is my life. This is not something that it's not a hobby, and people in my family, my own. I'm not talking about people on the street. I'm talking about family members. You still rap? Because I haven't heard your stuff on the radio. And it's like, well, I haven't heard a record on the radio for 30 years. Like, what you talking? Like, nobody, like, it. I can't explain that to people. You understand? Like,
yeah,
that's not what I'm about. That's not what this is. So if you want to hear Cardi, that's what you're gonna hear. Not what you're gonna hear on the radio.
Yeah, and I need substance at this point in my life. I need well, even before that, I've always needed to feel a connection, with the artist. And it is one of the it is one of the things I've always loved about your music. It always drew you in, and you painted a picture, and you can choose to see what you were saying in its totality,
Right.
or people would pick, oh, this is hard, but there was never any hard without the consequences, which is what I loved about your music.
I always told people too. I never made hard music. I just made music. Like, I've actually my music is basically been melodic. Like, if you really pay attention to my music, it's it's been soulful, so to speak. Like, I never made kill, motherfucker, kill and bitch and hoe, and that was, but I made ignorant shit in my life too. You know what I'm saying? Like, but that's just never been my bag. Like, I'll be lying to say I made music that way and that's what I did. Like, that's not what my life reflected. And if I felt ignorant or I've seen or I did some ignorant shit that day, that's what I did. That's the music I made. But you hardly never got that. Like I said, I painted pictures from my life. Um, a lady can do something on the train next to me. I might just stay quiet and watch what she do, and you know, put my imagination to work and talk through her eyes. A
Mhm.
kid, anything. Like it's never just always about me. That's one thing people don't understand either. Like,
Mhm.
and it's probably my fault too because I don't do too many interviews to explain who I am verbatim. You know what I'm saying? Like I just whatever I'm feeling is what I do. That's the portrait I paint, and you know, it's up to the person who's listening to interpret it the way they want to interpret it. It's not for me to say this is what I'm saying, and you have to go by the guidelines of what I'm putting.
Mhm.
No, you interpret it. You might relate to it because you're going through the same thing, or you might not. You just might like the visualization of what I'm saying or talking about, or it might be some ignorant shit in that song somewhere. You might, like, yeah, I felt like that day. Like anything, it's a spark. That's all it is. And I'm just the messenger.
So, I know you don't do that many interviews, but since you went in that direction,
Hmm.
who are you? Who have you found yourself to be?
Um, who am I? I haven't figured that out yet. Um, I don't have the answers to everything. I know that. You know what I'm saying? I'm just a man. I'm just a man who loves music, who happened to be born black, made it to 50. I'm proud of that. Um, I come from a two-parent household. My parents are still together, you know. Um, my folks taught me the basics about life, and they did their job up to me being an adult. It reflects in my life. But like I said, as a man, as a black man, and us being around each other, we 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 learned a lot of bullshit from each other. All of us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you tend to say, "Dan," and growing up, and you have friends, y'all act alike, and it's not that you act alike. It's just that everybody's repeating the same thing in a circle
Mhm.
of something that was passed down. It
Mhm.
and some of it is ugly. Like I said, I'm fortunate not to um be involved with certain things. I ain't never been no drug dealer. People, yo, it's a lot of stigmas put on me, and
Mhm.
it's a lot of different things people just assumed about me or assume about me, and it's just like, it's just certain things I ain't never did just because I'm from New York or grown up in the city, or it's like those are stigmas. Like, not all of us move that way, but some of us tend to uh lie to ourselves and act like, so to speak,
Mhm.
you know, what people perceive us to be. And
Mhm.
a lot of us have done it, you know what I'm saying? And I
Mhm.
ain't proud of that shit, you know what I'm saying? But it's just certain things I ain't never did, and I never, portrayed, or, you know, I grew up in a house. You know what I'm saying? Like, I grew up in a house in Jamaica, Queens. That was That was a big deal. Like
With
I
a front yard
remember
and backyard.
straight up a full family house. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I remember being in high school and being ashamed of that shit sometimes. Like your friends live in the projects, but you live in the house, and the backwards thinking and that shit is you not cool because you don't live in the projects. And my moms and them caught that shit a
Oh,
couple
you're
of
not
times
tough
too.
enough.
And they looked at me crazy. They scolded me for it too. You know, I done got in trouble for that type of shit, but your friends want to be where you at. You know what I'm saying? Like they long to have the life you live, like the life me and your dad, you know, provide for you. So why would you be ashamed about living in a house?
I wonder if that's survivor's guilt.
I ain't understand that. I ain't understand that as a kid. I just thought it was cool to be down and out.
Yeah, I think and I think a lot of times it's because even one thing our parents did a good job of um, growing up poor is we didn't we never felt poor.
Mm-mm.
You know what I mean? They went to I guess because everybody around us was kind of in the same boat,
Mm-hmm.
but I never felt like I didn't have.
Right. Never felt like we wanted for nothing. Like I guess that's the era we grew up in though. Like I said, you know, both of my parents is dead. They still together to this day. And
Hmm.
you know, we had fortunately we had more than a lot of our friends growing up. You know what I'm saying? Like I said,
Hmm.
a four family house. You know, most of my friends ain't grow up in houses. They grew up in projects and
Hmm.
stuff like that. And you know, to be ashamed of growing up in a house. Think about what I'm saying to you. Like, who's ashamed? Like, that's why I'm telling you, I'm unlearning a lot of things. I've learned a lot of bullshit, man. Like, who would be ashamed of growing up in a home? Like, some people are homeless. Some people are parentless. Some people are just never had, you know, the things that we were provided, you know,
Hmm.
small things, you know what I'm saying? And you know, I was ashamed of that. I didn't I Now looking back in hindsight, it was like, damn, like, and like I said, my parents caught that though. They was from the streets. So they was like, why would you be like, why would you tell your friends to meet you on the corner? Like you let them know
Well, I
you
think it's because even now it's like they it's like they are so um he ain't from the hood or he ain't from the streets.
right,
He
right.
grew up. I even think back to 8 Mile.
Right.
Uh, parents have a real good marriage,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think because people took the songs, the music,
Right.
and the expression of growing up in poverty as a
Badge of honor.
life goal
Yeah.
instead of a story about where they came from.
Right. It's a story. It should be a story of redemption. But,
Hmm.
you know, like you said, we looked at it as it's like a badge of honor of getting shot. I don't see no badge of honor in that shit or going to jail. Or, you know, two of my brothers was jailbirds. You know, they stayed going back and forth to prison all they,
Hmm.
and that just deterred me from not going to prison. You understand? Like
Yeah.
I couldn't look nice and be fly and you know, around that time growing up, being a teenager and a young adult, I couldn't do none of those things being in prison. So from their actions, it deterred me from going to prison and going to jail and getting locked up and shit like that. Like I never wanted to do no time. Like, but you know, we all being black men, black males at some point felt like that. Like I don't see nothing cool about getting shot. I don't see nothing cool about that shit. It looked like it hurt. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
like, or some people don't come back from it. Like, it's nothing cool in that. It's
Or they're
nothing
crippled.
cool doing time.
And I have haven't been somebody who was raised around guns and know their power. It always amazes me that people are so nonchalant about it. Because you just because you I've always guns are something that are we've always had around us, and we took special care to make sure they were clean, to make sure they were properly stored, to make sure that there could be no accidents, you know, somebody grabbing it wrong. If you didn't have this, you had to know how to load it, you had to know how to take it apart, you had to know how it worked, you know. I don't see that kind of care anymore. And it's like nobody knows how to put them up. You know, they don't know how to take those hands, and you're gonna win some, you're gonna lose some.
Lose some, but you walk away, you walk away to another day, get up to see another day. Like, you know, I ain't never understood showing guns on camera. Like I just a lot of different things. It's just smoking weed on camera. I'm like, certain things ain't for the gram, the camera, whatever. Like it's just, to me, our generation is built a lot different. So I don't expect for us to do a lot of things, but some of us slip and do certain things. I don't slip and do those things. Like I'm not doing that. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't find nothing cool about that. But I just sit back and watch. I'm like the watcher. I don't say nothing. I just sit back and watch, and you know, watch people do the things they do, and just I keep quiet about it. You know what I'm saying? But it's gonna be a time when it's gonna come up at some point, you know, and get talked about, and some people gonna, you know, man up to it. Some people are not. You know what I'm saying? But you're not gonna catch me doing no things like that. It's just not cool to me, you know, and things like that is why shit is happening, you know, as we, you know, to hear gunshots ringing off shouldn't be no normal occurrence. Like that's nothing normal. That's nothing normal. I don't care what nobody say. Like you hear gunshots and shit late at night. It's like, damn, somebody done went down. There's nothing normal about that, and it's we so desensitized that you can just fall asleep and not worry about if somebody's out there laid out, or you know, a 14-year-old kid got murdered in Philly, I believe yesterday or the day before. That's not no.
It's not normal.
It's just not. When I see that, it's just like, damn, like, you know, in my mature age, maybe I'm, you know, it's just not normal. You know, I can't speak for everybody else, but it's just it makes me squint my face anytime something happens. It's just like, damn. Like y'all don't see, I'm looking around. I'm in the house, but it's like y'all don't see nothing. Y'all don't see nothing wrong with this. Like, what?
Mm-hmm.
What can I do? I do my little part, but it's not enough, man. I wish I can do more, but I say this though, and I don't say this out loud too tough, but some of us gotta go.
Exactly. People look at me sideways when I say that, but I keep saying, some Pookie is not a good dude, man.
Gotta
You
go,
know
man.
what I'm saying?
Some of,
Everybody can't go with you.
yeah, some of us
It's
gotta
not
go.
okay that my son shot somebody in the fucking face at 12.
Yeah,
That's a problem.
yeah. Some of
And you
us,
can still love them,
yeah.
but
I don't.
that you
Yeah,
don't
I
keep
just don't
quiet
agree with
about
shit like
that. I
that.
don't
Some of us gotta
understand it.
go. Yeah, like I know family members that to me, they like ghouls and goblins. It's like shit. Some of them gotta go.
Yeah, you can't come around me because you get shot at. Yeah, you get shot at, and I'm not
Yeah,
running no more.
yeah. Some people gotta go, man. Like it's a we had a reckoning, right? It's a reckoning right now. Like you either for it or you not, and you know, ain't
You
got
either gonna get on
no.
board this train of
Yeah,
prosperity, or you gonna sit your ass over here and be quiet and not
right.
take us out because you don't know how to act.
Yeah, I personally, for some of our people, some of our people gotta go. They just bad seeds, man.
And that's what I talk about with it was like, do we blame the victim? But I mean, I grew up in the similar circumstances. I have never killed anybody. If it's not in self-defense, why are you just riding around shooting people over a street that you don't even own? That's the killer part. You are in the projects.
Yeah,
You don't own shit. You
yeah,
don't own the bench. You don't own the apartment. You don't own shit.
yeah,
And
yeah,
you are fighting for that block like it is going to be passed down from generation to generation.
yeah,
That is a problem.
yeah. And in my sight, demons exist.
There you go.
They exist. They here, and they don't give a shit. Like they don't have no soul. And I see it in a lot of. They ain't even our people.
Mm-hmm.
They not
Yeah.
our people. Just because we the same. What brother ain't a brother. What
Yeah,
church?
they say skin to me is not kin to me, or kin to me, something to that effect.
Yeah,
Skin folks ain't kin
Yeah,
folks.
that's
right.
the better way to say it. Thank you, SP.
Yeah.
I do have a question for you, and I thank you for being here tonight because I feel like we're talking to a legend because you are. And thank you for all you did for hip hop. You know what I'm saying? The contribution you made, the powerful impact that you made. But I think about the question that you brought about, and which I'm grateful that you did, because you don't hear a lot of hip hop icons that deal with the issue of gangsterism that's in hip hop.
Right.
A lot of times, it's pushed as it should be accepted. Do you think the record labels are contributing, or they're the ones who benefit the most from some of the music that we're hearing today? Because you remember in the golden era of hip hop, we was preaching consciousness. It was about, I was listening to Run DMC back in their songs with the 80s. It's like that.
Mm-hmm.
And this the way, the songs that they had, it had a conscious message to it. You heard the message, we had a conscious message to it. And
Right.
then we go back into we look at the Queen Latifahs and Native Tongue and all of them. They had a conscious message to it. And now you hear that, mostly what you hear now is trap or, gangsterism, as I call it. And do you think the record labels are perpetuating this idea just so it can minimize the knowledge that was being shared from the past, or even the knowledge that's being shared in the present?
I mean, like I told SP earlier, or I mentioned, it's still a young game, man. Like it's a golden era, but it's still young, it's just not. It's not easy to answer the question because it's so
understandable
to it.
Yeah, for sure.
Gangsterism ain't start with hip hop.
No, it didn't.
It's always been here. It's always been perpetuated through movies, books. I read Donald Goins growing up, stuff like that. Iceberg Slim.
Yeah.
Legend. So, it's always been around, but the perpetuation of the music that's being pushed today, it's just like death music. Like I said, I don't want to be preached to the choir all day, every day, and I can listen to a little bit of ignorant shit, but this ain't ignorant. This is something else.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Like I said, demons exist, man. Like
I agree.
The things that go on, especially in front of the worst thing we have is a camera now, a live camera. Because some of us ain't ignorant, so we gonna talk how we talk. Some of us are just, they put on for that camera, man. And when I mean put on, put it like this. Picture me committing a crime and then going on camera.
I feel you.
And telling on myself. Like, this is normality, which it shouldn't be normal. Like, it's just, I'm like, yo, is this really happening?
Yeah.
Like, it's migraine.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, did he really say that? Like, did y'all catch that? Like, he just admitted to the murder.
Yeah.
Not one person. They said 200 hip hop artists died this year. I'm like, some of them are just up and coming. You never know who they are, and then Young Dolph. We just
Dolph.
You know what I'm saying? But it's just like, I listened to an interview with Project Pat break down that Memphis, anybody could carry a pistol or a gun or in Memphis, in Tennessee. And you don't need a license. He said, long as you don't shoot a person in the back, you can get away with it. Think about that.
Yeah.
Long as you don't shoot a person in the back, you can get away. He said a cop killed the person from him climbing over a fence. The cop got locked up behind the shit. But he said, had he not shot him in his back, he would have got away with it. Now, he said people can walk around with hammers in front of police. And I ain't been to Memphis in probably 10, 15 years, probably a little longer than that. But that's some scary shit right there.
Well, it's in the South. I mean, you think about, I live in Florida. You think about George Zimmerman got away with the fact that, he used stand your ground. You look at Kyle Rittenhouse, he was able to get away. He was walking around. Now, we know a black man couldn't have did that, but he was walking around with a assault rifle, and it was okay. He walked by the police with an assault rifle. I mean, you think about, let that been a black man, he would have got shot on the spot. Not getting to the political aspect too much, but since you brought it up, I just want to highlight that because like you were saying about these gun laws and how how easy it is for someone to carry a weapon. Not saying you shouldn't protect your family. I'm not against protecting your family.
Nah, we're
not
talking
against.
about
Yeah,
that.
we're not talking about it. Let me clear exactly.
Guys,
yeah,
and girls and whoever just
randomly,
randomly.
Yeah.
Fuck you looking at? What you
looking? Boom.
Boom.
Yeah. No doubt. So
Project Pat said everybody carries everybody carries a gun. 12-year-olds, 9-year-olds on up. And police ride past and he was like, man, Pat said, man, I remember that NWA shit they were talking about where they said they dropped them guns. They left that train in the train yards, bunch of AK-47s and all kinds of shit. This is the 80s though. They come on, man.
Well, this is
that's not true. It's like what? Okay.
This is 2021. This is just as legal here in Texas. We have 0 gun laws.
Oh yeah, no doubt. In Texas for sure.
0.
Yeah.
There's no concealed carry. You just carry. You don't need a license, nothing. You can just carry the gun.
Yeah.
It's so weird to me.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. I don't,
Yeah.
I don't know what you do about that. I thought Sandy Hook would change something, but evidently in America, shooting elementary school students didn't matter. So I don't see the gun laws changing anytime soon.
Listen, I done been all over Europe, all over. You see close to no violence, gun violence out there. Like, I done seen skinheads and shit in Europe. Marching past my hotel, like protesting and shit like that. And it was just like, man, I will kill one of these skin. But I hardly never heard of if anybody got caught with a gun out there, like it was some deep shit. Like you was in some deep shit. I got a lot of cats I know out in London and those areas over there, and they like, like it's they don't play that shit out here. It's happening, but if you get caught out here with a pistol, like it's just a whole nother bag. Like America, they like America. A lot of us look at that and be like, damn, like we would get away with a lot of things out there. You know what I'm saying? But out here, we can't carry guns like that. Like if we get caught with a gun, it's serious. And that's just a whole nother story too, man. Like we was born here and everything, but what you gonna do? This is America.
There you go. And nothing about it makes sense.
And it shouldn't, you know what I'm saying? But like I said, at some point we're gonna have to separate, and I'm talking about us. Some gonna have to go. You're gonna have to pick a side.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to pick a side, man. Like you either with us or you against us, so you not.
Exactly.
And,
exactly.
None of us ain't gonna live forever.
That.
Anybody breathing, none of us ain't gonna live forever. But
some people are just going to have to fall by the wayside. You can't take them. You can't take everybody with you, because at some point we have to. We have to feel safe.
Exactly.
And at this point, there's no place for us to feel safe.
Exactly.
We can't feel safe in this world on this side of town, because we have the police that's gonna pull us over if we driving a certain kind of car. Then you can't go home to the other side of town because your people is trying to shoot up the shit on this side. So we have no solace, no safe space.
Yeah.
And at some point, we are going to have to decide that snitches get stitches is a idiot ass thing to say. And it is not okay to shoot a 6-year-old girl in the face and not go to prison.
Nope. Nope.
And, you know, I'm thinking about all of the things you said, and you know, I had to come in a little later because I was in a recorded session. I'm glad I made it in because to me this is historic just having you here tonight.
Right.
And I think about you because I feel like with all of the losses we had with the hip hop artists that's passed recently, DMX, Shock G, you know, so many of them. And I'm grateful that you're here and the members of Digging in the Crates because you guys are icons. You are legends. And when we think about you, not only are you a legend, but I think about your legacy. Like, what do you want to be remembered for and exactly why? Because I'm sure you have those conversations privately as an artist, and you think about all of us think about legacy, whether we do music or don't do music. What do you think about, what do you want your legacy to be when you have those moments?
I mean, personally, man, I thank you first of all for how you feel. I just don't look at myself as what you say though. I just
That's
don't.
okay. That's that understandable. Yeah.
I live through the people. Like I am the people, you know. It's probably why I've been allowed to move around the way I moved around all these years. I'm you me. Like that's what people relate to when it comes to me. That's what I feel. That's just my opinion. That's my legacy.
Okay.
Relating to the people and the people relating to me. I am you. You are me. Like, and I say that to say, you know, every time you see somebody get on a stage or in front of a camera and do an interview, it's always about how they living and, you know, they dressed up and you see me, I'm relaxed, I'm home, I'm chilling. This is how I normally when I'm in the house, you know, something that people can, damn, I'm doing the same thing he doing, and you know, we just conversating and you know, having understanding and talking. You know what I'm saying? We ain't gotta just agree on everything, but it's just people talking, and that's what I want people to remember me for, and you know, feel like they can relate to, is like, yo, he's just the people's champ. Like that's who I am. Like you know, star child don't mean I'm the child of the stars. We all star child. Like, you know, these are things I say because these are reflections of the people. Like I said, I make music from myself, of course, but you know, I'm gonna take something from this, from you, from Nev, from SP, from Goddess, out of the conversation. It might not be up front or it might not be at the moment, but you might hear something that we talked about in music because it was something real. You know, it was something, it was dialogue. People too, like I could never make music without reading. I always read as a kid, you know what I'm saying? But it was something my mom's instilled in me. You know, I came up on riff. Reading is fundamental, you know.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
think that's a joke when I say that, but I'm like, nah, like I come from the era, you know, milk being delivered in front of your door, like
crates.
Yeah.
You could just peel that shit back and poison that shit, but it put the milk in front of people's doors when we were kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, My mom said they used to deliver diapers and shit like that. You know, when I was a kid, like
All right.
that's the cloth I'm cut from. You know, Miss Mary down the block caught me cursing. She kicked my ass, or you know, she spanked my ass and sent me up the block to my mother and told me to tell her what she did to me. Like, you know, it takes a village. That's the
It
thing
does.
I come from. That's the thing we came from. I mean,
I miss the village.
Me too.
Exactly.
Me too. I miss Big Mama and all them people like that. You know.
Exactly. Like, you know, y'all know. Get caught cursing in front of Miss Mary or Papa Doc or one of them, and you know you would get your ass whipped just like your parents would whip your ass. But there was nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? The village took care. The village. So everybody looked out for each other's kids. You know, you couldn't just snatch no kid. You couldn't just if they ain't know you, and you know, just different kind of things that went on in life. This is what my music reflects, and it still reflects. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I got my own family members that say you still making music, and it's like, well, I just put out projects in the past few years. Same moon, same sun, and new dawn. Like, go check them out. You know,
Fire.
you know what I'm doing, go check those projects out. It's
definitely.
Reflection of the times.
Straight
You know
fire.
And that's all I can talk about is the reflection of the times. If it was something super happy to talk about, I would probably talk about that. Moment of clarity to talk about that, I'll talk about it. But some dumbass one day asked me, "How are you gonna talk about Flint, Michigan? You don't live in Michigan." It was just like,
that's a dumbass. You told the truth on that.
Like, you sound like a dick.
Yeah,
that's what I told him.
You say he smell like a dick or he is a dick?
No, sound like a dick.
Oh, my bird.
He told me, yo, how you gonna start? I did a song called My City. When our cities go through the same thing that Flint, Michigan goes through, talking about water poisoning and air pollution. And I was just like, he was like, why did you have that skit on there? I was like, you sound like a dick, man. Like,
I feel you. My bad, bro. I ain't mean to say
nah, it's cool.
My bad.
My point was, it was just like, you know, the same shit that's happening in Flint, Michigan is happening in Texas. The same thing in Texas is happening in New York. The same thing that's happening in New York is happening in Baltimore. The same thing that's happening in Washington, D.C. is happening in Virginia. Like, any that's experiencing poverty and things of that nature is the same thing around the United States of America. So
I feel you.
You know, some people say things to me and it's just like, you don't make no sense, man. Like,
but OC, this question here might not make sense, but I want to ask it because as a fan and as a person that respects you, what, and you kind of answered it already, but I just want to get clarification as a fan. What do you think the overall messages or themes are for your legacy overall in the albums? When all is said and done,
we live under the same moon and same sun.
So the same rain that wet me wets you. Blah blah blah. Like that's your
I like
whole.
that.
All right.
Same moon, same sun. When you look up in the morning, you wake up, you see the same sun that I see.
So you just so my music is just a reflection of
life. That's it.
Okay, and the human experience.
And the new dawn is the same thing. You know, you wake up if you allowed to wake up in the next day,
blessed.
You know,
just like me.
Yeah.
It's no secret. You know,
right.
like, yo, it's
it's a mystical, magical thing.
Incense when you do
sage, cedar, burn.
But I
ain't burning no incense and burning sage and stuff like that to do an album. Is
you ain't got crystals in the studio, OC?
Crystals and stuff like you know. It's not my bag, but
I'm gonna get you a sound bowl for Christmas.
You crazy? But when I zoom out, it's home. That's all it is. It's home, man.
And a dream catcher.
You know what? You know what I love about this interview is that you just really simplify a lot of things people try to make complicated. Like, you know, they try to complicate legacy, they try to complicate their process. And like you said, you know, it's a new day, it's a new dawn. You know, it seems to me, and you know, I'm not a psychologist, you know, that's not my department, but based on what I heard, it seems like you just take life as it comes. Like you're not trying to you know, exemplify this or that. You're just a person that enjoys life, and you write from your experiences. And if I'm wrong, you're more than welcome to correct me. But that just seems like the type of person you are based on the time, you know, the experience that I had with you thus far. Is there, like, when I think about your life experiences, because all of us been influenced by something or someone. As far as your level of influence, who were like, if, you know, 3 influential people or people that made an impact in your life, whether it was personally or professionally, who were they and why you wanted to mention them this tonight?
Musically,
okay.
I'm a combination of, well, my combination is that of a KRS-One.
Oh yeah, teacher.
Chuck D, Public Enemy, and Slick Rick.
Oh yeah.
People be like Slick Rick. I'm like, yo, for me, just for me, you know, the Great Adventures of Slick Rick was a body of, he embodied everything in one ball of clay with that album, like, and that album came out in 1988, and if you pop it in today, is, you know,
still relevant.
It's timeless. It's still relevant. The moment I feel it, and the ruler's back, and you know,
great body of work.
Hey Young World.
Hey Young World, and
Mona Lisa
Balls, and
you
know, he birthed a lot of us, and a lot of us won't admit it. You know, they'll go with the usual suspects, who, to me, you know, people like Rakim. I don't believe none of us would exist if it was, because he just started a whole style of talk. You know what I'm saying? But as far as the visual element of what I do, Slick Rick was a main part of that. And KRS definitely got me with my philosophy. That album changed my life.
Oh my goodness.
You know what I'm saying?
Now, you played that today, as a matter of fact. So
play that today.
Yeah.
I used it on IG when I was promoting the shows. Yeah, no instrumental.
Right. And then It Takes a Nation of Millions. They revolutionized some other shit. Like, to this day, I still go back to study that album. And Chuck and them was ahead of their time, and they still ahead of their time. You know what I'm saying? And I like to characterize people in hip hop sort of like for me, Cypress Hill is like the Grateful Dead. Woody is like Earth, Wind, and Fire. You know, PE is like Rolling Stones. You know what I'm saying? Kane and you know, Kane and Rakim, like them guys, you know, they did something that, you know, probably changed the course of, you know, like I said, how people talk. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They, you know, a lot of MCs, and for me, man, it just taught me how to try to get in tune with how I feel, and how people feel. You know what I'm saying? How people respond to something you say. You know, I always go with Rakim saying, "Follow me into a solo." Get in
Oh man, bro, and you can picture like a photo. Woo!
Music
Don't
make
get me started with
melodies for
Rakim.
MCs, motivate the breaks.
Bro,
I'm everlasting. I
man,
can go on for days and
days and
days.
days.
Small.
Even woo.
I could take a phrase that's rarely heard.
Flip. Now it's a.
You know.
Yeah. Oh, you talking now, baby?
Lyrics of fury, matter, life, and death, just like an exit sketch, shake till you cleared and you just can't make the next.
Juice.
You know,
wow.
Just little things, elements like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, I think somebody like Tretch was birthed by the record. And let me say this: he was birthed by a style of lick the balls. Excuse me, I'm trying to earn a mere buck or two. I saw a rapper come in, without his powder town and down his, you know, OPP. You know what I'm saying? Like the styles he did. So these guys are blueprints. You know what I'm saying? That's why I say the legend thing. I take it because you say it or the people say it, but I won't say it out of my own mouth, like because it's people in front of me that just they still here. Number one, number two, they still have things to offer. I think most of the shows that's being done right now is by Rakim is doing a lot of shows. This is the most I've ever seen him do in my life. You know what I'm saying? He's working like
he getting it in. Week. Yeah, he getting it in. He eating.
Kane took a break for a minute and he explained it, but Kane is starting to work heavy. KRS
he getting it.
Stop.
Yeah, he getting it right now.
So
all of them.
You know, it's a lot to say to call somebody a legend. So that's why I said I'll take it if you say it to me, but I know in my heart, in my mind, in my spirit, like these guys offer to me now. You know what I'm saying? Like I listen to them even more than I listened to them, you know, as a kid in high school. And you know, I still learn things from or catch things Rakim said today. You know what I'm saying? So
but
for me, it's just about making powerful music, man. You make the best product you can. Hopefully the people bear with you and fuck with you, and you know, sometimes you need to be spanked too. You know what I'm saying? That's why I believe, you know, when people ain't feeling certain records from you, it all of that goes hand in hand. You can't have good without the bad.
True.
And people be like, yo, I ain't like your third album. It's cool. But it's a part of my life. It's a chapter in my life. I can't make times up for you 10 times over. You know what I'm saying? I can't treat those
That's
kind
true.
of records or the My Worlds or the Crooklyn Dodgers or you know, Fudge. I can't keep regurgitating those records because that's not that's just pieces of my life. You know what I'm saying? I have to grow. I can't stop and do what you tell me to do because that's what you want me to do. You know, just hopefully if I'm making music, you know, it's something you can resonate with, or it's just something you can enjoy. It don't have to always be deep either.
So who are you listening to? All these new artists that are out. Who are you listening to, or are you?
Right now, I'm feeling Nims. I'm feeling RJ Payne. Quite a few people, but I'm in a zone right now. I just haven't started recording my shit yet, but I'm back in my zone. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, like I said, people like, yo, you have people like, yo, I've been putting out records for the past 6 years, man. Like, I put out the last two me and Show put out, Same Moon and New Dawn. Prior to that, we put out the DITC studio album. Prior to that, I put out the Perestroika album with Apathy. Prior to that, I put out Trophies with Apollo. Prior to that, I put out F. Cutting Project, Opium. The list goes on. So I'm like, you know, the rock y'all been living under. I've been putting out products for the past 5-6 years. It's just y'all, if y'all expecting me to put out a project every 30 days, that's not what you're gonna get from me. You know,
that's saying? Good. That's good too. I'm glad to hear that.
Doing that Ozone release was
I'm
fire.
Not Benny the Butcher. I'm not 38 Special. Them guys. This is their era. This is what they do. You know what I'm saying? Like, and shout out to them. You know, shout out to my man Rasheed Chappelle. Like they put out work, you know, as fast as they can do it. You know what I'm saying? And I commend them for that. You're supposed to evolve in that way. They're not supposed to do what we do. You know, but you're not gonna have me putting out albums every 30 days. I'm sorry. That's not what I do. You know, it's a process to what I do, and you know, that's just what it is. But I'm in the zone right now. So everybody who's been putting out music, it's dope. I'm feeling y'all, but I'm here. And you know, I'll let y'all live. It's cool. It's still a competitive thing too. You know what I'm saying? Like, for me, it's still competitive. I don't have to say it out loud, you know, the music for itself. And I know some of them want me to go away, but it's not gonna happen at the moment. I'm sorry.
I don't want you to go away.
I don't want you to go nowhere either. We need you to keep doing it.
It's too much to talk about. It's just too much to talk about. I just been, you know, I moved away from New York, so I took a break actually. You know what I'm saying? A 2-year hiatus almost. So I needed a peace of mind. You know, I'm really doing me at this point. It's nothing about the crew or none of that. It's about me. I'm being selfish at this point. I have to. You know, I'm in the process of devolving and unlearning. So I couldn't involve people that are not on the same wave as me. I can't, if that's something that they choose to do, I can't, you know, sit around and wait for them to get on the same page as me. This is my journey. So at the end of the day, this is what was going on in my head. I just have to put it down on paper now and match it with music.
That's dope.
Go ahead.
All right.
Yeah, this is sorry to go back in time here, OC, but I have to go back in time because this is a question that I'm probably waiting 30 years to ask you, 20 something years to ask you, and I hope you can remember this moment. But it's an interesting moment now because what you say, the sun, moon, and stars, like everything's lining up. I'm into that hocus pocus stuff sometimes. Ralph McDaniels tonight released his documentary on Video Music Box, which I find very ironic. This question is about Video Music Box. So in 1994 or 1995, you made an appearance on legendary video hip hop show in New York called Video Music Box with Ralph McDaniels. Do you remember during an interview you were very emotional and seemed hurt by something that you experienced in the music industry or personally through some relationship? Can you talk a little about that, especially for young Black men that have an issue or stigma with being vulnerable, you know, and expressing themselves? You were on a public forum with a microphone. You didn't get into detail, and whatever you feel comfortable with or you don't feel comfortable with, just kind of want to get an essence of what was going on for you, because it struck me. That was one of the first times I'd ever seen an MC vulnerable on TV, and it was definitely hitting you, whatever was going on. Can you take us back there?
Yeah, you got to remind me what it. I don't even.
All right. So you on Ralph McDaniels, and it's like you in a crowd or whatever, and he's asking you some question. Yo, how's the record doing? Or how's the this? How's the that? And you started crying and tearing up, and it's like you couldn't even finish
Word?
talking or explaining yourself. Yes, in that interview, and I was like, it always struck me. That was one of the first times that you kind of came on my radar. I remember the Time's Up single, and I remember watching the interview, and I'm like, yo, why is he going out? And I don't know if it was a
I started crying on on video.
Yes,
I
yes.
don't remember that. You got to show me that.
Yes, I wish I take. All right. If I gotta, I know people who know people, so I can see if I can get a clip of that. But it was interesting. You were getting asked a question, something about how your record's doing, or this and that about the industry, and then you just got emotional. You were saying something about people. You know, you don't know who to trust. And you were getting into, and I was like, whoa, that's ill. That I only saw it one time. I never saw it air again.
Yeah,
and
I don't even remember that.
That's great. All right, cool. All right, that's crazy. Wow. All right. I had to ask though, because that really struck me. All right, damn.
How you not gonna have the receipts though?
Because that was something. It was like a quick. It wasn't like a full. It wasn't a full interview. You know how like you just walk in the crowd. You were in the crowd. You were just in the crowd chilling, and you had on like kind of the same jacket you was rocking. The Time's Up. But something had happened with the deal, or something with management, or something, and you were really feeling some type of way about it. So whether or not even it was the interview, do you remember like anything going on business wise or personally that really struck you at that moment around that time when you were coming out?
Yeah, I don't recall that, but I recall having a hell of a time, you know, because my record was doing decent as far as it was selling itself. You know, around that time, I was on the road with Big and Craig Mack. So, you know, for the caliber of artists that they were being perceived as, I was touring with them. Like we all had, put it like this, Big single Juicy was gold already, but Craig Mack every night was shutting shit down. Like they wasn't coming to see me, they wasn't coming to see Big, they was going to see Craig Mack.
Yeah, that song was huge.
I remember him actually doing Flavor in Your Ear twice
in peace
on certain occasions, you know, at night in clubs, and I wouldn't go on after that, like
shutting it down. Yeah. This is before the remix?
This is before the remix. And I remember Big being presented a plaque for Juicy, and people would basically, we damn near got booed a couple of nights because Flavor in Your Ear was just they was coming to see Craig Mack. I kid you not, man. Like,
and look who has the legacy now.
Yeah, I mean, to me, their legacies are etched in stone. You know what I'm saying? Like, but
facts.
I'm telling you, you know, Craig was doing multiple shows in one night.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he would do Rhode Island, then he would jump over to Boston. I was like, yo, y'all must be speeding down 95 to get to the next state, because
people say he built Bad
Island in Virginia. Like he was doing, Pun would do that.
Yes, yeah.
Pun was doing the same thing. Like Pun would leave New Jersey, go down to Rhode Island in the same night. It's like, damn, like y'all gonna kill yourself to get that bread. And they would do Virginia. It was just like, man, I'm not doing that shit for no. I get it, you know what I'm saying? But it was just a fun time, man. Like, I remember Chuck had me on the road a couple of dates, you know, with the they was promoting the Terminator X project, but I remember being on the road with Chuck D, and it was just crazy to me. It was just like, yo, so early on, I didn't really understand the effects of what Time's Up was. It was like an anti-record, so to speak. And I made the record because that's what I felt. But I wasn't trying to anti anything.
I always was curious about like, was there anybody in particular you were speaking about
No, it
in
was
that record?
just, the industry started talking that tough shit, and it was just like, it was just a change in the guards, and I seen it. You know what I'm saying? And that's why the record came about. But I just seen different personalities, different peers putting out music, and it was just a dope time for me. So that's what I say. All I have to say that particular moment you talking about, I don't remember that because man, I was partying every night.
Hey, it could be my mistake. So can you tell us a little bit about the recording process for that song Time's Up, and also like what was the recording process like for the Word Life album?
Yeah, Time's Up was actually Pharaoh's record. That was a record that the beat was March record. This cat Prestige, who did a song on my album called Point of Views, he became one of the hitmen later on for Puff and Bad Boy. He was a Pharaoh March stand, so he presented the joint, the Time's Up skeleton to March, and March threw that shit to the side. And when he actually played it for him, I believe me and Search is in the process of getting the deal solidified with Wild Pitch, which they were going under the EMI umbrella. That's the reason why he did the situation over there. And when I heard the record, when I heard the beat, it was just something totally different to what you would normally hear, stat quo, whatever, hip hop. And it took me a year to write to that beat though, because it was so awkward. And my process has always been being alone in the studio with the engineer, the person who produced it, and that's it. Made sure I had the music ready before I got to the studio, because that shit cost a lot of money back then. You know what I'm saying? Reels and DAT tapes, and the record label would charge you $50 for a CD and a cassette at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? So I always made sure I had my stuff ready before I went in. And my sessions would take no more than 4 or 5 hours.
So it took you a year to write that song?
But it took me a year to write that record. You know what I'm saying? Like, because it was so awkward. It was an awkward sound, but I knew it was something that would work. And the end product of it was I didn't like it. You know what I'm saying?
After a year, you're like,
it felt like it wasn't finished. You know what I'm saying? So
like what? Like you needed more verses?
Leave it alone. 2 verses. It took Search to convince me. And it took a lot of arguing with me and MC Search over giving him that record. Not that record in particular, but something that was going to stand out when you put your debut out. And in hindsight, I didn't listen. I was so anxious to put out music, not understanding and learning from Search that your first outing is what people are going to judge you off for the rest of your career.
That's true.
And I gave him a dozen records, and he would be like, "That ain't it, man. That ain't."
That one he loved
and argue and damn near fight.
But that one he loved off bat.
When I brought him that record, he was like, "That's it. That's the one."
The amount of times that they've sampled different lines from that record is ridiculous. I mean, they say Slick Rick, Biz Markie, some of the people that have been sampled the most, but out of their catalog. But for one song, that's probably one of the most sampled lyrical songs that I've heard from an MC. People have taken so many different parts of that.
Yeah, it's been sampled a lot, but I ain't mad at it. Some
those checks help out.
Most part, yeah. It's.
And what was it like recording the album?
What's that?
What was it like recording that debut album? You're signed now, you have a budget, and now it's like, all right, I gotta go in and show and prove. What was that process like? From just guest appearing with other people, the single, now it's like, all right, I'm going in album mode now. What was that process like for you? Now you're an artist, not a rapper.
Well, the process leading up to that point, you know, like I said, I was doing records that Search was vetoing basically. So it was a learning process on the job. You know what I'm saying? I believe I finished the album. A lot of the songs on the album were things that I had on demos already. Ozone was a demo record. Born to Live was a demo record. Point of Views was a demo record. Shit, half the album was demo songs. So they were songs done 4 or 5 years prior doing demos. I just, you know, revamped them over different beats and things of that nature. But it just taught me how to record over time, man. Like, you know, being in the studio with Organized at that time, Organized Confusion. It taught me how to put together bars and stuff like that, obviously. It taught me how to format songs. You know, the main thing is, you know, keeping people's attention. So I don't care how nice you were with lyrics, if you're not keeping the people's attention, you know, people ain't gonna listen to what you trying to put out. And I had to figure out, as Prince would say, Prince Paul would tell me, I need to find my voice. Because I used to sound like the way him and Pharaoh rapped. And I would get upset, but they were like, yo, man, like, you gotta find your own voice, man. Like, you can't sound like us. You ain't down, like, you ain't Organized Confusion, number one. Number two, you sound like us. Like, what does OC sound like? And I used to get upset because I didn't understand what that meant. And, you know, finally, you know, it clicked. I found my voice, you know what I'm saying? I always say I rap how I talk. And that's what I didn't get at the time. Like, you know, you talk how you speak what you feel, but it translated. It's like hearing Rakim talk. When you hear Rakim talk, he sounds like the way he rap. You know what I'm saying? And
that's very true about Rakim. He sounds just the way it sounds, just like he talks. And
sounds just like talk. And Prince would tell me to find my voice, and I didn't understand that.
I'm sorry, but I'm cracking up over here. Issa came on with a damn bunny's outfit. What's up, Issa? How you doing?
Much love to France. We got France in the building. France is in the building.
Salute from France.
Yeah, it's
good to see you.
OC. Issa.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good, and you? It's a pleasure to see you.
Likewise.
I was listening, you know, in the background. And
what you got?
I was wondering, because you came to France, you know, in the past. And what do you think of the hip hop crowd in France, the fans and the crowd? How do you feel them?
I've been to France a lot. I got a lot of love out there. Yeah. I've been a lot, more than a lot. The hip hop scene out in France is crazy. Lyon.
Yeah, we have a lot of love, you know.
Yeah, like the scene is incredible. So I haven't been well, the last show I did was in Lyon. That was actually me and Apollo Brown and Nipsey Hussle.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was the last show I did out there.
Okay,
and,
yeah.
That was, you know,
wait a minute. You gotta talk about Nipsey. You gotta talk about Nipsey, OC.
Yeah.
We didn't even talk about Big Pun. Damn.
Yeah.
We gotta do like a
I didn't even know that at that time. Like, we actually didn't even speak to each other.
Oh,
It was just like we rode in the same van. He nodded at me, I nodded at him, and
this is
I
like
did my show
Crenshaw
that night.
album. This is like when he had his was he like on his Crenshaw mixtape vibe at this point?
He was doing mixtape.
Yeah, Crenshaw probably.
Okay.
He was just getting big.
He was rhyming over like the Snoop stuff and stuff like that, And yeah, that was the first time I was turned on to him. That was in Lyon, in France. Yeah.
So I guess she's asking, like, is there a different vibe? I guess the response to you over there,
it's rugged over
here. He said it's rugged.
France is rugged. It's super rugged. I did a show one time where I was on tour with DJ Revolution.
Okay.
And all my instrumentals were lost. Like in the airport, something happened. I didn't have no instrumentals, but we worked it out. Revolution is a hell of a DJ, and I was actually rhyming over my vocals, but the way he tweaked the turntables and stuff that night, you couldn't tell, but you will get booed in France if you ain't doing the right thing. Straight up, they don't play that shit out there. Europe is no joke, but France in particular, they hip hop enthusiasts out there, and I remember working hard that night. Me and Rev worked hard that night, and it was in a spot where you can actually touch me, so
Wow.
if they wasn't feeling me, they would have let me know. And I honestly remember being out there. Yeah, I remember I don't know if he was a graffiti artist or something happened, but somebody got murdered out there. It was riots going on around the time I was out there.
Okay. Well, we love rioting in France, to be honest. So I don't recall because myself, I've been living also in Canada and in the Netherlands, So
right.
I'm back in France since 2 years, but
this was
but I
big.
know
that's like 5 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm not talking 5 years ago. This was a big thing. It wasn't just riots going on normally around that time. This was like a young guy that got murdered out there, and I don't know if the police did it or somebody did it, but it was a big deal, and it was real tension out there. So they had the streets cleared up and things of that nature, and one of the spots that I did was it was super rough, man. And I got through it that night, and they loved it, and I prayed on it, and I was like, damn, like I said, you can't. They don't play that shit out there. You can't go out there rhyming over your vocals, and they want real hip hop. They want the turntables. They want the mic. They want the 2-3 hour performance if you can do it. And they're not playing.
And and did you go to Amsterdam as well?
Been to Amsterdam a lot.
Did you like it there? Because they can go crazy too, right?
Yeah. Amsterdam, Netherlands, all that. Like, I've been out there by myself a lot of times. Been out, I toured a lot with DITC in Amsterdam a lot. Yeah. Copenhagen.
But it's true. I think in Europe we really support old school hip hop, and we love dope hip hop. You have fans that's true hip hop heads.
Yeah, indeed.
Like we want that sound from the US. We love it. We kind of respect the fact it was born in the United States.
Right. Nah, they show a lot of love out there. Like I said, as long as you on point, and go out there respectfully and do what do the things that they know you for and what you do, you
Yeah.
good. But if you go out there on some superstar, uh, you know, BS, they'll let it be known. They don't play that out there.
Mm. Thank you for your answer, though.
Same here.
I hope you come back to France. No, I'm there. I'm here, you know. I want to see you.
Yeah, I
But
don't know. It's a lot going on right now. I ain't leaving the
I
country
know,
right now. It's crazy.
yeah,
Um,
this pandemic makes it crazy for touring, and yeah, I
yeah.
know. But we have
Well,
to hope it's gonna end, you know.
right. Well, me and J. Rule supposed to tour next year, but I hope it's a world left to tour.
Ooh,
Oh yeah, he's in
it's
Germany, right? He lives in Germany.
yeah. So,
How's Germany's crowd compared to France crowd?
well, Germany's bigger, so you know, it's
Well,
I
crazy.
think
they don't play either.
I think Jero the Damager also lives in Germany. I
Yeah,
think so. Yeah.
yeah. It's 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 crazy out there. It's the scene is super crazy. Well, a lot of people don't realize Germany is a big hub for DJs.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Always been since the 80s. You know what I'm saying? So
So your
um
vinyls sell crazy out there, OC.
yeah, nah, it's just, you know, a lot of DJ champions come from Germany as well. You know what I'm saying?
mhm.
So it's just a big scene out there. I done did shows in bunkers out there. You know what I'm saying? Like real,
Whoa.
you
War
know,
bunkers.
bunkers. Yeah,
Whoa.
newspapers on the wall, pasted on the wall,
What?
you know,
Wow.
stuff like that. Actual bunkers where they bunkers that was bombed and stuff like
Bomb
that. Like,
shelters.
Oh wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you speak about the pandemic, creative, and you said you're not recording it. I don't know if we can put this out or whatever, but tell us.
Mhm.
So creatively, the pandemic has gotten you back into a mode of like, all right, it's time for me to get busy now. I haven't put out anything in 2 years. It's making you want to produce and put out music now. Not even produce, but record.
Yeah, well, it's some things to talk about. I was trying to get on track with it, you know, last year, but I just didn't want to talk about, you know, it was just one sided because everybody was locked down. I didn't just want to talk about, you know, us being locked down because it was nothing to talk about that. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm.
now you have people moving around. You have things going on like, you know, people wearing masks, people not wearing masks, people being vaccinated, people not being vaccinated. It's just a little broader spectrum of what's going on. Booster shots, you got everything, you know, happening now. You have shit. The government shut down as of tonight.
Mm.
In this, you have DC.
Word?
Yeah,
Word.
Damn, I'm like out of the loop.
I
I
don't
didn't
I
know
know
if
that.
thought
it's down
I
or
thought
not,
they
but
came up
Compromise.
with a
yeah, I
Solution.
compromise.
because they was talking about,
I didn't even
you
know
know,
that shit. I gotta listen
the
to news.
government was
Fucking mind.
possibly being shut down tonight. You know, if they didn't come to a vote, you know what I'm
A
saying? So
resolution.
a resolution. It's a lot of things going on. It's a lot of stuff to talk about now, as opposed to last year when everybody was on lockdown. Like what I was going to talk about, everybody being home.
I've
You
heard
know,
a few artists say that. They said that they weren't really, they felt like it would be a negative album or it would be a certain type of album, so they
yeah,
weren't
like
going to record.
So we good. They Biden signed a stopgap. I thought I read that. I was just making
right.
sure.
So it's something. If I'm not mistaken, it's something temporary until February.
Yeah, it's temporary,
Yo,
Right,
that's
like they
bars right
always
there,
do.
OC.
right.
That's
So we
America
have
bars.
don't fix
Temporary
problems; they
until
just kick
February.
them down the road.
right. So we have it's potentially after February, the government could shut down and run out of funds, and it's a lot of shit to talk about now. You know what I'm saying?
You gonna come out with a double CD at that point, OC, if that happens.
Yeah, you know, it's a lot of stuff to talk about. And it was a build up for me anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been watching, you know, some of our peers put out music, but it's like, this ain't no time to be talking tough shit and talking about how many cars you bought and all of that crazy. Like, that day is over in my mind. Like, it's a whole nother essence out here right now. You know, we talking about possibly concentration camps and shit coming back, and you know, because people don't want to comply with what the government is saying, and it's a lot of things to talk about, put it like that, you know, in general. And I just want to make sure, you know, when I touch on things, you know, it's things that we can all relate to.
Lyric, you know, and I beg to differ with something that you said earlier. Not to like go against you, but when you said I'm not a legend, or I don't really know what the legacy is or whatever, it's like everybody can't be wrong. A lot of people put you in high regard because of the words. Not about being a superstar or anything like that, but the words that you write, the stories that you tell, the authenticity and the genuineness, right? It is stood the test of time and the consistency, and I think that's what people gravitate to, in that spirit of truth that you kick all the time, even with the BS, even with the other flaws you say, oh, this one was a dud. And I think that's what's resonating with people over time, and that's why I think people put you in such high regard. SP actually said it in another interview, like, this is when you enter into the what is it, the difference between being loved and be loved. I think SP, I think that's what it is for me personally with your music, and I think why it resonates with a lot of people. It's beyond chains, cars, sales. You're not the most rambunctious or, you know, whatever, charismatic, but there's something about your words that resonate, man, and hold with you
I
over
think
time.
I'm very charismatic. What are you talking about?
I think it's because you feel like it feels like you give a piece of yourself in your music. And
you hit the nail on the
every
head.
time.
Every single time. And that to me is it changes you from being a loved artist to be loved.
But listen, you just hit the nail on the head. Some people don't understand. You, in anything that you do, you're giving a piece of your life force.
Totally, yeah.
I'm giving you a piece of my life force. Like, that's my energy. And as well as you, whatever you do, or whatever your occupation is, or how you move around in life, you're giving a piece of your life force. So, contrary to what people think, you know, about making music, it's not so easy. You know, you giving a piece of your life. I have to give you something. I can't give you everything. I can't give you my life in its entirety. I have to give it to you as much. I can't drain
doses
to that degree. I can't. So I have to figure out how to give just enough for people to say, damn, I can relate with that. Or I go through this, you know, my cousin went through the same thing, or I see that in my kids, or whatever the case may be. But I'm giving you my life force, and that means I'm sharing a piece of my spirit, my soul with you. And, you know, I'm not like other people, man. I take that real deep. It's not, that's why I do it. Everything else is secondary to it. Can't take the money with you, can't take the houses with you, can't take the cars with you, can't take the supporters with you. I never call people fans either. Go back and look at anything that I ever said. I don't call people fans. I call people supporters, because fans, in my opinion, will turn on you in a heartbeat. Supporters might not like what you do, but they'll always support you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Fans will love and hate you the next day. That's just me. That's my opinion of, the whole thing about legacy and like I love my supporters, man. I love that people support me. You know what I'm saying? But a fan, I don't know if y'all never seen the Robert De Niro movie with Wesley Snipes, The Fan. He loved the shit out of him when he was getting all those home runs. But when he stopped hitting those home runs, he stole his kid, he took his dog, he broke in his house.
We don't want
killed
those type of
another
fans.
baseball player, Ben Del Toro. He did everything as a fan, a crazy fan. It was just like, and I've experienced certain things in the game, in the music business, where people stood on. I've seen a person stand online for a couple of hours just to tell me he didn't like a particular album, and that's scary.
Wow.
Wow.
That's
And what they got going on in his life?
I wouldn't know how to handle that. I would not know how to handle that.
Yeah.
That's
Straight
the
up.
trust.
And
I had that. You stood in line all these hours just to tell me that.
AG told him that exactly what you just said. AG was there with, like, we was on a digging run, and the kid, I seen him though. He just, so I'm telling, hey yo, watch this dude online, like, and A told him, yo, you stood online all this time just to tell him, man, get out of here, man. And shit, that's how John Lennon got murdered. In front of the Dakota.
Yes, yes. Saying that he was a hypocrite and all of that. Yeah. Oh gosh.
Like, because
that's scary. Yeah, that's scary.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, it's like I said, man, you give people your life force, and some people really believe that they know who you are, and it's just like, like AZ said, it's just only pieces of a man.
Another lyrical
what album made you fall in love with hip hop? What song made you just be like, this is what I'm going to do?
What song made me fall in love with hip hop? Let me think about that one.
Because I remember the first hip hop song I heard from
I remember the first hip hop song I heard, but
from Sugar Hill Gang, but that's not what made me.
Right, that's what I'm about to say. I heard King Tim the Third, and it was like, what? How long was that record?
10 minutes.
10 minutes, 13
That's
minutes.
like, that's like what's that other one? What's the one by Africa Bambaataa?
Everybody,
Planet Rock.
here and King Tim the Third, and I'm here, just me and that was a long record.
Yeah, Planet Rock was long.
What a message.
I fell in love with it though.
Oh, Message too. Yeah.
Was I heard the original. I think I heard the original Lottie Dottie live. Dougie Fresh and Slick Rick and damn, where did they do that at the build?
You heard it or you saw it?
Nah, I heard it. I was too young to see
on
it.
The radio. Okay.
Nah, they did it live at a park. The original Lottie Dottie that we heard before it went on wax was done. They did it live at a park or at a club.
And then you heard
how'd it go? How'd the original go?
Same thing.
It was the same.
Well, the one that's recorded is the live one.
Oh, okay.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Shit, I didn't know that. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, the first one that was recorded was the live one that they captured on wax. I believe it was on a silver label. And I mean, Rick, man, like, yo, nobody knew he was from England. Nobody knew he was, he just had a ill style, like, and the way he word things and stuff like that. But that record turned me up. It turned me out.
Yeah.
And then I was turned out after that.
Yeah, that song, you hear the beat come on, and you hear that Lottie, and you're like, oh, and everybody just ran to the dance floor.
Yeah, but if you go online, they have the live version, the live version of them, so it sounds a lot different, a little bit different, but it's the same premise. And
you know, I'm gonna put that in. I'm gonna put that in here, just so that I'll put the link in the description so that everybody can check it out, because this is if you've never heard Lottie Dottie,
yeah,
you are missing out.
Yeah, I believe the Indian girl is a live. He turned it into a record as well.
Mm-hmm.
That was a live. He did that live too. That's not a new record. He just revamped it for his, Great Adventures of Slick Rick. So I mean, if you look back though, a lot of these guys, even the reggae artists, they revamped the records that they did live. They did a lot of records on the spot and then turned them into songs later on. That was the format back then. So, that's where I said I got the understanding of how to make songs and stuff like that. Ozone is an old record on Word Life. It's not it wasn't a thought out record. It was something that I demoed probably 4 or 5 years prior, but it sounds totally different to what the Word Life version sounds like. So, this is what people did back then. They would take records that was probably memorable at a club that they did live, and it turned into a hit record, or it became a cult classic or something like that. I believe Run DMC did that too with Peter Piper. That wasn't no new record.
Peter Piper picked peppers, the Run Rock Rhymes.
Yeah. That's not a new record. They revamped for the album. So it's been done a lot. You know what I'm saying? With the exception of hip hop coming up in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And it's a lot of stuff floating around now too. I believe Pooh Bah got a lot of live stuff, Masters of Ceremony, way before Brand Nubians. You know what I'm saying? Like, Pooh Bah been on the scene for years.
I've been listening to the Cold Crush Brothers and the
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
and they singers now, but they was rappers. The Force MCs.
Force MDs, yeah.
They had a battle in the park, so I've been listening to those live battles.
Right.
Which are dope.
Angie Stone is an MC before she was Angie
Stone.
She
was. Sequence.
From the Sequence. So it's a lot of people. People just don't know that it's them. But she
I
got
think that's
busy.
why it irritates me when I hear them say Drake invented the melodic rapper, and I'm like,
Yeah,
Oh
what?
my God.
Are you
yeah,
kidding me?
yeah,
Nah.
yeah,
I was like, do you not remember the
yeah,
Cold Crush Brothers or the Fourth
yeah.
Fifth Thieves?
Fantastic
Yep.
Five and
Yeah.
Yep.
Force
Yeah.
MCs before they was the
Treacherous Three.
Force and
All of them.
Beans
Yep.
and stuff like that. But yeah, Angie Stone,
She was getting it.
she got busy.
Yeah. All
Mm.
three of them. All three of them was getting it in. But
Yeah,
yeah. Sinkers was dope.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, man. Damn, I'm forgetting. There's quite a few people who got busy. Like,
Yeah.
you know, um, yeah, but I say all that to say, man, like I said, at the end of the day, the legend thing, I appreciate it and stuff like legends that's still alive and still thriving, and they get all the credit in my eyes. Like, it wasn't for them, it wouldn't be no us.
Great.
We wouldn't be having no conversations. The journalistic part of things, a lot of people wouldn't be known. People, y'all, as journalists and things of that nature, don't get enough credit. All in all, you know what I'm saying? Like, I never talked because I just never knew how to talk on camera. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
for me, it was just like, it's not my thing. But you know,
Well, it's kind of why we like this format. It's just a conversation,
right,
so you could just feel comfortable and
right,
not have that pressure of I gotta have the exact answer because it's not about having the correct answer. It's about spreading the knowledge.
right,
And
Mm-hmm.
hopefully somebody will watch this and take something from this conversation and apply it to their own life. And that we just want to have a powerful impact like hip hop has had on us. We just want to provide that and keep the culture growing and
right.
spreading.
Yeah, nah. I mean, that's what it's about. At the end of the day, it's dialogue. You know what I'm saying? Is
Mm-hmm.
like I said, you don't have to. Everybody don't have to agree on everything, but this is why you dialogue. This is why people have dialogue. This is why,
Mm-hmm.
um, you try to get into people's uh psyche about what and why they do what they do, and why you ask the questions you ask, or why do I make the music that I make, or you know, you want to get. I don't mind people getting into my life, but at the end of the day, like I said, it's just something that I do. It's a way of life, it's
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
something I turn on and off. It's just my life. This
Yeah,
is who
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I am. I've been doing music for over 30 years. Um, this is who I am. It's nothing about me not uh wanting to have a career. This is who I am from day one. Whether you wouldn't have never knew me or not, this is who I am. Like, this is
Mm-hmm.
it's no filter when it comes to OC. Like, and some of it you get in the music, and now you're gonna get some of it, visually and through interviewing. You know what I'm saying? And I'm cool with that now. I can handle it a little bit. I didn't want to talk too much before because I didn't know it was anything to talk about. You know, I figured, you know, I make music.
Let the music do the talking.
Yeah.
Speak to you, and you know, I've met some of my heroes, and I wish I never met them. Some of them are assholes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can understand that. You know, I was
Yeah.
fortunate to meet Slick Rick. He wasn't an asshole, I will say that.
Right.
Out front when I was working as a club promoter. And he was real cool, you know, he was laid back, you know, he was Slick Rick. He had his chains on, you know, that Slick Rick. But he was cool though, you know, he wasn't, you know, he was just very approachable, very cool, laid back. But you're right, sometimes you do, especially being in the entertainment business. I mean, I don't have the stories that you have because you've been in the game a lot longer than I have. But from the experiences I have, some of your heroes don't always be that when you meet them in person. But you know, nevertheless, you know, we're grateful for those that we have crossed paths with. And I would say I'm grateful that we crossed paths with you tonight, for you coming on here and sharing your story. Because, you know, a lot of times we can look at a Wikipedia page, you can hear what other people say, what is rumored and what is fact and what is not. But it's nothing like talking to the actual person, having that one-to-one conversation like we did tonight. So we're so grateful that you stayed with us, and we did it for an extensive amount of time, which is greatly appreciated. And sharing your story.
I ain't never been on an interview this long, but I'm different stages, man. I'm cool with this. Like,
and I witnessed that, and I appreciate that. I just want to share that with you from us to you. We greatly appreciate you hanging out with us and sharing your story, and not, you know, just going along for the ride, which is greatly appreciated. But I want to give you an opportunity.
Y'all got me. Like, I ain't had nothing else to do tonight. Like, I'm home, chilling. I'm safe.
No doubt.
You know, and
no doubt,
people don't get to talk with me too much. So,
sure,
you know, the time is not being wasted. We conversating, like,
I'm
you
sure
know, we sharing human stories, like,
sure,
compassion, hurt, happiness, joy.
Absolutely.
You know,
passion.
What be fixed, what can't be fixed, who needs to stay, who needs to go. You know.
It's been amazing. We've had technical difficulties. You've popped in and out. You've come back.
Sorry.
This has been.
Issa has a few questions.
It is so awesome when you get to meet somebody that you have admired for so long, and they exceed everything you ever thought about them. So I really thank you so much for having this conversation with us, because this was more than I could have ever hoped for or even thought of.
Nah, I appreciate y'all, man. And like I said, this was probably the longest conversation I ever had. And I don't mind, you know. It's always the first time for everything, and I ain't had nothing else to do tonight, like, or this morning. Well, it's morning time now, but I'm cool with it. Like, this is something that, you know, y'all can log in the history books. Like, damn, like, conversation, and it wasn't just about music; it was just about life.
Exactly.
And sometimes there's no cap on that, like, as far as no time cap, no, you know, you talk to people, you laugh, you cry, whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? Like, and people appreciate it more when you, like you said, exceed what they perceived to. You know, y'all probably thought y'all was gonna have me for a few minutes, but I told y'all got me. I'm here for the night, whatever. It didn't matter what time. Like, it's cool. Like, I'm cool with it. You know,
shout out to Kelvin, man, for making it happen. I appreciate it. Kelvin did
no doubt.
It is what it is.
Issa has some. Issa, you have some questions?
Yeah. First of all, I feel really all the things you say about music and artists putting the part of their self into into their art, like pieces of their life or feelings or their guts. And it's true that people don't always realize the difficulty, even for writing,
Right.
And I would really like to get to know, but what did really motivate you one day to be an MC?
I came up in the park. Like I seen the actual park jams. I experienced.
Uh-huh.
Um I witnessed the park jam. Like that's something I didn't ask to be born in New York. Like
Oh
so
yeah.
that's a blessing for me. Like to witness the park jam as a child, not a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about a 4 or 5 year old child. And
Yeah.
you know, it affected my life
Okay. Yeah.
as a child, and it was just something I always wanted to be a part of, whether it was going to be a DJ, whether
Mm-hmm.
I was going to dance,
Mm-hmm.
I was going to, get behind the mic
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's
in the
all the
music,
elements. Yeah.
any one a part of the element, I was going to be a part of it. I knew,
Mm-hmm.
but I knew I
Mm-hmm.
was going to be behind the music, so to
Yeah.
speak. So
Okay.
I'm not surprised,
Yeah. I
who I came.
understand.
Yeah,
Because you said earlier, it's a way of life. It's true that
yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's a
It's
movement. It's a way of life. You live hip hop. You cannot just listen to music. You embrace all its elements. I think.
right, right. Nah, it's in my blood. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Mm-hmm.
My mom sang. She was into the music. My grandmother and them was into the music. So
Wow.
it's in me. And I knew I have some part of being in the music. Whether I
Yeah.
was in the industry or not, I would probably
Mm-hmm.
do it anyway.
And like you're from New York, so I imagine younger you will go in the park and witness the DJ, and you are going to take the mic sometimes with other, no?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I seen them plug up still where they stole the power from the street. That went around. That went
Oh,
on
no doubt.
all around the five boroughs. You know,
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
that was
okay.
real. Like that was some, and you wouldn't get in trouble for it back then. You couldn't do that
Oh,
shit now though.
oh yeah, true that.
Hell
Fed
no.
would probably Fed
Sadly.
would probably come get you. But I seen the power from the street lights, with the wires and everything. I
Mm-hmm.
seen the speakers, the ass kickers, they call them, stacked up to the top, you know,
Yeah.
20 feet high. Um,
Wow.
10, 20 speakers. You know what I'm saying? Like
Wow.
I seen a wall of speakers. That's documented too. You Google that, you see the wall of speakers
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
in the parks,
That's
and
amazing.
it was crazy. You know what I'm
Yeah, I
saying?
can imagine. Yeah.
You know,
Well, mm, well, that's dope. I wish I was born in New York just for the hip hop movement. I'm from 73.
right, right. Well,
So
I mean, it's a movement out there. Like I said, France is dope. So, you know, just music in general out there. Two of my favorite spots is for a lot of talent is France and Sweden. It's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of
yeah,
producers out there.
there are French MC you appreciate, you think of, because it's
Um,
difficult. It's in French. So the problem, I like to understand the lyrics myself. So for
right, right,
instance, I would listen to German rap. I would ask
right,
somebody to translate it for me because lyricism matters a lot to me, you know.
Solar.
So me,
Solar.
yeah, MC Solar. Oh, why
You talking about the
is
one that worked with Guru or different solo? I think there's like
Nah.
2 of them.
No,
There's 2 different ones, right?
there's 2 different ones.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
The
One
other
is
one, I keep
French,
hearing about him.
and he's an MC. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's fantastic. Yeah,
yeah.
his
I've
lyrics
heard
are.
about him, but I keep thinking it's the other one. Okay,
Yeah,
I gotta
MC
listen to
Solar
that.
from France is a legend. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Absolutely.
No
He
doubt.
was the first MC to be
That's
in one of the best newspaper for very nerdy people and stuff. You know, he had a full article about one of his album, New Western. You know, because he's very poetical and his lyrics are killing it, and he's very humble, that man. And I
He
love Guru, and indeed they made a track together.
Yeah.
Oh,
Guru.
so it is the
Yeah.
same one. Okay, so it's the one that's on Jazzmatazz, that guy.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Okay. I thought it was 2 different ones. Okay.
That was Guru's
doubt.
man. Yeah, that was his
doubt.
homeboy.
That's
Well, we
the good,
again.
the bad, le bien, le mal. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
again, we
Bien
thank
le
you.
mal. Oui.
Again, we
Yeah,
thank you for
yo.
we thank you for hanging out with us.
Yeah.
We thank you for going through your story once again. Thank you, Issa, for sharing, answer your questions, because we want to give things. We want to make sure we get questions that are asked for France, because we are a global company or a global podcast. So we thank you for sharing and being a part of the podcast.
Thanks
as
for
always.
guesting me. Thanks
Oh,
a lot.
absolutely,
And
absolutely.
thank you
OC,
all very much.
absolutely. Just want to
You
give
stay blessed.
I just want to give you an opportunity to give out any shout outs or any upcoming projects that you have, and share your social media handle. That way everybody can follow you after watching this interview, because we definitely want to bring more supporters. I won't use the word fans, supporters to your projects and things that you're doing, because you definitely, I know you don't like the word, but I have to say it because I feel like I have to honor you for your contribution to hip hop. We want people to continue to follow you because you are a legend for the culture. And I just can't say anything differently, because that's just what I feel and that's what I believe. But do you have any shout outs or anything, your social media handles you want to provide as well?
Shout out to the world, man.
Okay.
We all in the same we're all in the same thing right now, in the same shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
We all experiencing the same thing, but I got 5% left on here. I'm shouting out Powaful Impak.
Thank you.
Nev, SP, Goddess, Soul, Easter.
Yeah.
I appreciate y'all. I love having a conversation with y'all this time. You know, and I hope we do it again.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
we're ready when you're ready.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But
whenever you have a free day and don't have anything to do, we here.
We here.
No doubt. And y'all be safe wherever y'all may be. And
sure.
I'm out.
What about your upcoming projects on your social media? We just want to make sure we get that out before you leave, so that way people continue to follow. Your supporters can continue to follow you, or you get new supporters to follow you.
Yeah, no doubt. You can at me at OCDITC on IG.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? That's my main joint right there.
Okay. Dope.
And I got projects coming soon. I ain't even gonna blow no smoke. It's just projects coming soon, and New Year's coming in, and keep your eyes and your ears tuned out for it. That's all.
Well, let us know. We want to promote it. We want to support you as much as we can. And again, we thank you for being on here. And once again, we salute you for your contribution to hip hop, and we salute you for hanging out with us, because we don't get these opportunities every time where you can sit down and ask questions like we did. And we thank you for hanging out with us. We greatly appreciate it. And thank you for all
We hung out. We
did.
With champagne.
Hopefully one day we can all link up. We can pop that bottle of champagne and really
we got a new year coming in soon. So like I said, I'm looking forward to doing this. We probably won't stay on so long this time.
No, it's all good. We'll make it work better. We'll make it work for you. But thank you. And
OC, you
Yeah.
gotta unblock me on IG, man, because I
Okay.
was spamming you and he blocked me.
Yeah, I probably did. If you
Yeah,
scared
it's
me,
all good. He ain't blocked me yet, so I'm lucky. I ain't been blocked. But again,
I had to hit you on Twitter. He's like,
No problem.
I was like, yo, he blocked me.
well,
I was like,
happy,
yo, he blocked me.
you know, I don't know if we're gonna. I don't know if I have the be fortunate enough to tell you Happy New Year for 2022. But Happy New Year to you. I wish you
God bless.
blessings
yeah,
and
definitely.
prosperity, and whatever
And
you have.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and
I'll
whatever.
be looking out for your new stuff because
Yeah.
you on my alerts. So anytime
Yeah,
you
okay.
drop something, my notifications go off and let me know.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I'll be watching out for it, and I'll make sure I put all of your acts in the description so people can follow.
And your band camp,
Okay.
if you have a band camp, I guess.
Yeah.
Right?
So
Indeed. Well, Happy New Year to y'all.
okay.
And
Thank you.
like I said,
Many
let's
blessings.
do this again, and it's a pleasure and it's an honor.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you. All right.
And this
Well,
was 4 hours. I'm looking at the thing.
Yes.
I'm like,
I know.
Nah,
I was like, yo, he
That's
hung
cool.
out for real. You know what I'm saying? It's like
yeah, nah. I
could've
told
saw
y'all you
2
had
movies,
me.
but yeah.
So good, man. But
yeah.
I'm about
We-
to fall out now.
all
I
right.
know. We know it. Thank you for hanging
Have
out
a
with
good
us.
night.
Thanks a
All
lot,
right.
man.
Blessings
Bless,
to you.
brother.
Thank you again.
Bless,
Thank
brother.
Blessings
Thank
on
you.
mine.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, y'all.
Peace.
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 Peace. Well, we thank you for tuning in and supporting Powerful Impact.
Your
again.
face.
Yeah. All right, let me do it over again. We thank you again for tuning in and support. Let me start over. Goddamn. We thank you for tuning in and supporting. Let me try one more time, SP. We
Okay.
thank you for tuning in.
Wait, give me a pause so I
All right,
can break it off.
Okay. We thank you for tuning in and supporting Powerful Impact again. I'm so right. You saw my colleagues SP, Nev, Issa from France, the goddess who was here earlier. We ask that you subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow us on social media. Tonight you saw history in the making with the legendary MC. He don't like that term, but I'm gonna call him how we see
Oh
him.
yeah.
OC from the iconic hip hop group Diggy in the Crates. We want you to support his music. We want you to support the movement, and more importantly, we want you to support Powerful Impact, because our objective is always to make a powerful impact on the community, music, on the culture as a whole. Once again, we thank you for tuning in and we salute you. Have a good night.
And go make a powerful impact. Make a
Hey
powerful
guys,
impact. Boom.
thank you for letting me in again. That's so
No
dope.
problem. No
I was
problem.
supposed to work, but it's cancelled.
Gratitude with attitude of love aloud. When it's pleasant out, I never choose to hunt for clouds. Evaporating rain steaming off the pavement. Returning to firmament from whence it came. It's all circular synergy. The sun is the centerpiece. Vitamin D deficiencies remedied by its energy. And Mother Nature got jokes when it's silly hot. But a summer breeze got the trees doing a diddy bop. To UV singing Jodeci's, give me all you got, give me all you got. No shade to them a block, bathing in all of this limelight. My countenance shine bright, so all apologies to your eyesight's kaleidoscopic. More than meets the optics.